very good morning to you. Karibu sana to Y254 TV. This is Y in the morning. And when it's Wednesday, you know how we do it. It's Wednesday, how we do it. Ay! Kabla nianze kudance, wacha sasa niseme karibu sana kwa White in the morning. Najua leo kumeamka kama kunanyesha kapariti hivi kitoko kana kupika left right center, lakini usichari nitakupea story moto moto ambazo sitakuweka choto ndani na nje ya nguo zako. Lakini kwa machina ninatambulika kama Grace Maingi. Wewe kama ni okay, whatever things I take in the morning. A very good morning to you. Karibu sana to Y254 TV. This is Y in the morning. I think nimekwambia good morning mara kama 5 or mara kama 20, but who cares anyway? Lazima nikwambie morning. Lakini leo ni kama nimeachanishwa. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to have fun. We're going to still hakuna kitu imechange. Whether or not mmemwona, hakuna kitu imechange. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you will know tomorrow. Anyway, this is Wednesday. Wednesday, what do we do? Wednesday, we have fun. Wednesday, we give you great vibes. Wednesday, we give you great conversations. We give you games. We give you, yeah, hizo vitu zote. We give them all to you. We kuna time fulani kizungu inapoteanga hivi kwa dirisha. Hui, ni kama jana, wacheni niwaambie hata nimekumbuka. Let me get that. I have remembered yesterday. Nilikuwa naona Kamba alphabet. Kamba alphabet. Alphabet. Sasa nilipeleka wapi hiyo Kamba alphabet? My God. Ai. Ile saa ushaona ile saa yenye unatafuta kitu ndio ile saa yenye inakupotelelea. Alafu hiyo ndo saa huionangi nimeiona. Lakini kabla nikusomee hiyo Kamba alphabet. How are you? How's your week? How have you been? Part of how have you been is part of Kamba alphabet. You know in Kao we don't have H, by the way. We usually have hey. Ebu wacha niwasomee kwanza kabla niwaulize uko aje, wacha tu nikuchekeshe. The Kamba alphabet. I'm representing my people from Masaku, Kitui and Makueni counties, the great nations. Counties za matajiri ndio hizo. Yeah, nikirepresent hizo counties za matajiri, wacheni niwaambie vile Kamba alphabet huenda. I wish I had sent this to Benja earlier, ndo muone hapo kwa screen. Lakini tutafanya kirudiwo next week, Valentine akirudi. Sasa in the meantime, Kamba alphabet inaanza na hey, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, E, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, Ala, S, T, U, F, W, Z. Okay, wamepeleka wapi X, Y na X na Y wamepeleka wapi? Okay, kuko na W. I need to read this in Kamba accent. I'm not doing my Kamba people justice. Let me repeat it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, S, Z. Exactly. I needed to give my Kamba people. Yeah, I was not doing you guys justice. Yeah, lakini wacheni niwaambie my Kamba people hatukukosea mtu. Tuko tu sawa. Yeah. Anyway, from all parts of Kenya, I trust you woke up well. Sorry, I'm making too much noise. It's in the morning. But if I don't make noise, I'm being paid to make noise. So if I don't make noise... Anyway, I want to ask you one question before tuende kwa zile maswali zingine zote zenye tumeweka kwa mtandao. I just want to ask you one question. Kabla nikuambie kitu kingine nimeona hapa kwa mtandao inanishangaza. Okay, hainishangazi sana, lakini niko tu zile naangalia ninashangaa ni nini inaendelea hapa. Lakini kabla tufike hapo, leo tumesema in the mood of being Kambas, we're going to speak like Kambas. Okay? All right? Yes, thank you. T for many thanks. All right. So, I just want to, I think every time I'm alone, the first question that comes to my mind to ask you is, what are you grateful for? I don't know, tuko grateful series number what, but then we need to pick it up from where we left. What are you grateful for this morning? I know we have been through the series of gratitude for a very long time. So what are you grateful for this morning? I know we woke up, it was raining. You are or were able to get to your place of work like I have been. You are at home maybe taking care of your family. You are wherever you are. What are you grateful for this morning? That's a question I need to ask you. Before I tell you what I am grateful for, think about life. Think about you woke up, someone else didn't wake up. Think about the fact that, on Sunday, nimekumbuka, on Sunday in church, walikuwa wanatupreachia about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. Yeah, and you don't need to go to church for you to know about Thanksgiving. So on Sunday, they were preaching to us about Thanksgiving. And I remember our pastor said that there comes a time that you have that inner feeling in you that wants to, or rather there is that part of you that wants to complain. Yeah, I know. Uko na hiyo job lakini hiyo boss akutreat vipoa, unataka kucomplain. Uko na food lakini si food. Maybe unataka kukula kuku kila siku lakini unakula ugali sukuma. You have food. Someone else does not have that food. Maybe una complain, maybe you have a house but it's not complete, it's not yet complete. Maybe it's your uko kwa nyumbako una complain that hey, hiki kinyumba hata kijamalizika, hakina rangi, hakina floor. You have one. Sisi tunalipa rent huku tunakimbishana na landlords. I am just trying to juggle up your mind to think about the many things that we take for granted but we ought to say thank you for. So this morning I want to remind you to say thank you for those things that you think you ought to complain about. I've not said you should not complain. By all means, complain. I know, ikinaturamba left, right, center, everywhere. But then again, you need to remember that even as you express your dissatisfaction, let it come from a place of gratitude. What I mean is, let it come from a place of, God, these are things. There's a day, the other day, I was just going, not the other day, it was yesterday. I was going through my photos on my phone and I was just looking through, hey, hizi pictures zenye nilipigwa. So I was just looking at you see the way people say, come tag along with me or tag along with my journey or something, kule nilianzia, nilikuwa naishi sijui kanyumba kanaka. You've seen those videos on TikTok, most especially, where people post how siku ya kwanza wali move into their house, hawakukuwa na kitanda, walikuwa tu wanalala kwa mattress, wakabai bed, wakabai gas, kidogo waka upgrade, So I was just looking back at photos that I took a while back, and I was just thinking, God, the things I have now were things I used to pray for. And it's very easy to complain and be like, hey, he work, or hey God, hii kazi inanichokesha. There is a day you were praying for that job. Au kukuwa na moja, ulikuwa unaomba Mungu usiku na mchana, unamwambia God, nipe tu, ukinigeia kaka moja tu hivi ukinipea. Hey God, ndakuwa the most grateful person. But now you realize that alikupea, maybe ukusema thank you, ama ulisema, whichever, you probably did or didn't, but then he gave you what you were asking for. And then after he gave you what you were asking for, umefika place yenye una complain. So what I'm trying to basically say this morning, unaona tu vitu venye unafikirianga ni kama vitu venye unafikiria ni kama hatu make sense, hatuko like hatu vibe or something. Tu vitu, or those things you feel you're complaining about, imagine start giving thanks about them. Just be grateful they're there. You don't have to pray if you don't believe in God. I realize I am not ignorant of the fact that I'm speaking to various people. There are people who don't believe in God. There are people who believe in something else. That you are there. This message is not for Christians. This message is for anyone alive. Say thank you to whatever you believe in. Say thank you. You wake up, you have food on your table, whether ilikuwa mkate na chai ya sturungi na mkate moja, you have something you ate. Whether you woke up and all you had was, I don't know what, you have something to be grateful for. One day I woke up and someone very dear to me had gone to heaven. Okay, I don't know if, someone very dear to me just woke up one day and he was no more. And that day ndo nilikaa nikasema, where death, my Lord, death can do you shakara. Hey, let me tell you, I think sijai kufiwa na mtu close. Sijai, like I keep hearing of watu wamekufa. Okay, watu wamekufa huko na huko. Okay, I've heard of those people wenye wamekufa, lakini sijai ona mtu mwenye najua mtu close na mimi, mtu nimekuwa na yeye ameamka amekufa. So nimeamka hivi siku moja like this like that, I thought I was ready for that person's death because they had been sick for a while. And then I woke up one day and they told me he was normal and I was shocked. Okay, I think nilikuwa zile za okay, nili expect you wouldn't make it, but okay, alafu inafika hiyo siku tena unajiambia siku ingine. I think tulishamzika na tukamaliza mazishi, but niko bado kwa ile party ya enyewe by the way mse alienda. Okay, sitawahi mpata. Okay, nikienda kutembea sitawahi muona. Okay, like sitaisikia akiniuliza. Kwanza alikuwa ananitanga Glass. Hey, he used to call me Glass because he could not pronounce my name Grace. So what he used to say, Ngilasi we. So I would hear from Nauka akisema Ngilasi we ukaba. So I did I just say that on here? Okay, anyway. Yeah. So ukiona umeamka nani? Umeona watu wako wako fiti, wameamka fiti, weambia tu God asante, ama uambele kitu yenye una believe asante. So nimemalizana na mambo za gratitude, nimeongea sana hiyo part. So moving on swiftly, it's never a dull moment in Kenya. Naona hapa ile siku yenye unatafutanga kitu ndio inapotea. Sasa why is this phone misbehaving? Let me get that for you. I've just seen that right now on someone's status. I didn't even see it yesterday. I think yesterday I didn't get to watch news. So apparently Senators Aaron Cheriot and Stewart Madzayo have sponsored a bill seeking the deletion of Article 39 of the Election Act. The amendment proposes that IEBC should post results online but deliver physical results for official declaration. Here, so in short, what they are trying to say, the government, those two senators are proposing a bill to stop live coverage of presidential election results. So what happens in layman's language, acha nikuelezee kama tu a 5-year-old hii bill inamaanisha, unaona vile elections zikifanywa, watu kila media house inakuanga kituonyesha vile wana count, vile kunaenda, vile zinapanda, vile zinashuka, vile zinaenda, like we see it on TV kama zile stories za DJ Afro. Cheki maneno right. Sasa wanasema tuachishwe kucheki maneno. Basically they're just saying cheki maneno should end. Tutakuwa tunaonanga results online and then tutakuwa tunadeclarewa president. That's what that bill seeks to say. I don't want to put my opinion in that bill, lakini lakini wacha nimalizie wapi? Wacha nimalizie hapo. So in the meantime, nataka uende kwa mtandao wetu on our social media handles at Y254 channel on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. That is X. Sijui kwa nini sikumbuki that. Okay, si ati sikumbuki. I think I am always in denial that they changed Twitter from Twitter to X. I have never wanted to accept that reality. And because I have never wanted to accept the reality, go to our social media handles. We have a question. We are asking question of the day. Okay, question of the day. Lakini niwaambie sahi ama niwaache tu kwanza. What do I do? Let me see. Okay, sawa. Nimeacha. Ndawaambia question of the day after a while. Ukienda kwa mtandao unisalimie kwanza, alafu unijibu swali ambalo nimeuliza hapo mtandaoni. Na sijui kwa nini sauti ya Rose the Understanding Girlfriend iko kwa akili yangu. Wacha hiyo sauti itoke. Lakini in the meantime, if you've been following, or rather if you're an ardent, is it an ardent or advent? Okay, English ilikuja na meli, I don't know. But if you've been following through what has been happening, tumeingia 16 days of activism. 16 days of activism. Do you know what 16 days of activism is? Do you know what 16 days of activism, what they mean? So, let me read for you. Did you know? I'm going to educate you today. Sit down, take your tea as I give you this piece of information, because that's going to major in on our conversation today. Yeah. So, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is an international campaign to challenge violence against women and girls, but I feel like pia wangeada hapo boys. But anyway, the global 16 days of campaign, the global 16 days campaign is usually an international campaign to challenge violence against women and girls. The campaign runs every year from 25th November to 10th December. From 25th November to 10th December. Originally, it was called 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and it was initiated in 1991 by the first Women's Global Institute, held by the Center for Women Global Leadership, that is Rutgers University. So basically, kabla nikusomee English mingi yenye hata mimi siko sure kama na understand, what basically this 16 days of activism mean is that it's a campaign that was started in 1991 it's a 16 days activism. Sasa huyu nani anan confuses. Why in between my interview are you passing around? Why in between my Okay, sawa. Let me go back to 16 days of activism before niwaambie kenye Benjamin sema. So, this campaign basically it's to fight against, or rather to create awareness against gender-based violence. And I remember the other day as we were talking with Val, we were saying that uko hapo nani? Mbona hiyo kitu imepotea? When we were talking, I remember we had this conversation about 2-3 months ago. Was it 2-3 months ago? No, not 2-3 months ago. Actually, it was a month ago. Actually, 2-3 weeks ago, when we were talking about GBV. And we said, nowadays, sijui kwa nini natetea boy child, but anyway, nowadays, kuko na wanaume pia uko ndani wanaumia na wamenyamaza. Mimi nimekuja kama msimamizi wa watu wote. Sijakuja kama msimamizi wa Chenta Mocha. Nimekuja kama msimamizi wa both parties. Lakini what I'm going to emphasize, we've seen the femicide cases that have been on the rise lately. We wake up, a woman has been butchered somewhere. We wake up, a woman has been killed somewhere. We wake up, a woman has been tortured somewhere. There's so much femicide happening. And right now, I think we are concentrating on stop killing women. Stop killing women. Stop killing women. So please, if you're there, you have a sister, you have a wife, you have a mother, you have a cousin, a niece, whatever, and she's a lady, please, as a man, endeavor to protect them. Endeavor to protect them. 16 days of activism have started. We are in that day. We are in that campaign period. And today, our conversation is going to center around GBV and creating safe spaces for women. Because today we talk about women. You remember it's a Woman Crush Wednesday affair. So leo tutaongea about women. Men, ngojeni Monday ifike, mutaongelelewa na sakwa. Tuko firi? Sawa. So finally, yeah, because nimeambiwa ni kama niko na my intentions, my plans. Mimi I can talk from until the day ends. Whether I am alone or I am with someone, it does not matter. I am the story. I am the radio. Yeah. But anyway, sasa kitu cha mwisho nilikuwa nataka kukueleza kabla nichukue hivi ka break alafu nirudi sasa tena. Kitu cha mwisho nilikuwa nataka kukueleza ni ile swali ambayo tumeka hapo wako kwa mtandao. Hiyo swali ukienda hapo kwa mtandao utakapata hapo alafu tukimalizia nitakuelezea hiyo swali ni kani. So uende hapo kwa mtandao, social media handle @y254 on Facebook, ni Facebook, Instagram and X is formerly Twitter. Alafu tulianzia huko akaunti ya matajiri, sasa tumeenda akaunti ya wakulima ambao wanatupea chakula. Wewe kama uelewi ni sawa tu. Question of the day is, je, tunaweza aje create safe spaces kwa waraia wenzetu? Je, tunaweza aje create safe spaces kwa raia wenzetu? How can we create safe spaces for our fellow Kenyans, fellow citizens, your neighbor, your sister, your friend, your cousin, your enemy? Mtu anapita tuko kwa barabara. How can you create safe spaces? Remember, today I have said we are talking about GBV. Today we will be concentrating our conversation. We will be tailoring our conversation around GBV. Hizo vitu zote hizo zitaje zite, those ones, yeah. But then in the meantime, ata mimi Fanene, I need to take a breaki. So as I take that breaki, you do not go anywhere. You wait for me to take a small breaki, and then we will be back to tell you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and then I'll be telling you what we will be doing next. We might play a game, I don't know, or we might do something more fun, I don't know. The fun is in you getting suspense. So nikikwambia kila kitu nitakukalisha hapo uningoje after that ka short break. So si nikiteka kwa ka break, relax hivi, kama chai yako ilikuwa imesha kwa kikombe, kimbia hivi uchukue chai alafu urudi ukae tena ungoje part 2 of drama, and then we move on. Firi? All right, we're taking a very short break. We'll be back with more.
Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
कुछ कुछ होता है क्या करूँ हाय
पी लूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
Oh, you're dealing with the boss. If we break up, yeah, you know that it's your loss.
This week on The Buzz,
Said you want me back, you can't touch this.
Liam Neeson is back with another action-packed film titled Absolution.
You're crazy. Can you just walk away?
Abinguma lets us know all about his new album on Creative Corner. We will highlight the life story of Cynthia Erivo. Find out what led to the alleged fallout of Ogobina and Damo Facebook.
God is in people, but so is the devil.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Aim just to kill me ain't too many times.
Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune in to Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag PowerTalk.
It's art, it's culture, it's fun, it's attitude. We sample some of the best artistic works locally and beyond our borders. And don't get me started on the cultural events. Music, dance, fine arts, culinary arts, and much, much more. You name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki. Please join me each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Y254 channel.
Y254. Imagine. Y254. Imagine. Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
कुछ कुछ होता है क्या करूँ हाय
पीलूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है Y254. Imagine.
New times are here. The sands of time seem out of stock. Where once was lush, now lies bare rock. I come from a continent that is both young as it is of age. One that has known both religion as it has faith. The home of legendary deltas like the Okavango. From its searing hot deserts filled with ancient trees to its grounded rhythm, looming cities and streets. The origin of your essence lies here, untamed, unbroken, its potential dormant, resilient. Covering 20% of Earth's land area, the African continent is the cradle of human existence. And with that, the oldest inhabited territory on Earth. Our fertile lands are the very backbone of the world's wealth on one side, and on the other, a spiritual thread through the lives of many. Much like our endless deserts, decades have been buried by the sands of time. Since the signs of early humans, nearly 200,000 years past, we've seen decades of heroism, decades of wonder. Decades in which our continent flourished as much as we did. Only time could tell that an age of restoration was yet to come. We've entered an age in which landscape degradation is so severe that African countries have jointly vowed to restore its precious soils. An age of deprivation, of drought, indeed, but more importantly, an age of realization. Are we aware of 54% of African soil slowly being turned to nothing but agglutinated dust? Economic downturn as a result of a global pandemic driving these lands into deep, deep recession. Are we aware? Are we aware of creeping deserts, failing crops, loss of fertile ground, wetlands, cattle? The list doesn't stop. But above all, are we aware that we as a people have overcome such hurdles? An ancient Kenyan proverb says, yule ambaye mbegu hazijaota haachi kupanda. One whose seeds have not sprouted does not give up planting. May I present to you the Grand African Green Up, our decade on ecosystem restoration. Let me point out to you in ancient Akan knowledge, Sankofa, and in the same way much of our tribal knowledge states, the knowledge of the past must never be forgotten. Goja ngoja huumiza matumbo. Because in this decade of landscape restoration, time and tide wait for no one. It is evident we must protect our most precious possession, our fertile African soil. In the coming decade from 2021 to 2030, 30 African countries are dedicated to restoring degraded land in a coalition named the AFR 100 Initiative. 126 million hectares of land, equivalent to the total size of South Africa. All this within the next 10 years, and we're not done counting. Ambitious plans come with ambitious people. An eager 1.2 billion people with a median age of 19.7. Africa's population is young, future-proof, and willing to rebuild and restore the lands that previous generations have lost. And restore they will. This decade of ecosystem restoration is a moment of reconciliation with our environment. And this generation's work regarding our lands is already bearing fruit. Working towards the same goals as the AFR 100 initiative, many projects are underway and are already bringing back life to our continent's degraded landscapes, providing food security, jobs, and a reason to stay for the millions who live across its shores.
I'm Simon Elia Chiwanga. I come from Mpwapwa district. I was born in Mpwapwa district. In central Tanzania, as you travel, you'll find a number of spectacular features, rock formation, for example. Now, to travel from Mpwapwa to Dodoma, you'd go through thick forest. And you avoided to travel at night, even if you're in a vehicle. But now you can see animals, anything from a distance, all clear. So deforestation, reckless deforestation has taken place miserably bad. So I've seen impoverishment of forests, of land, cultivable land, water sources, and it pained me. There is a huge difference between then and now. So we started community development work, and tree planting was part of it. Those who call themselves theologians, those who study the Word of God, talk about holistic ministry, which means you save the whole person, not only spiritual but also physical. And that has been my standpoint. That has been my driving force. So in 2010, I founded Lead Foundation. I founded the organization empty-handed. But I believed it was my hobby horse, giving what I can, And I gave. I gave whatever, I was able to give. Siki High is the answer. Is the real answer to our environmental situation here. That was with the regional commissioner, the governor of this region where we are operating this morning. And I said, sir, we've trained 700 village champions for you in the region. We still have about 600 to go. And at the point we have reached now, your region has taken off. It will become green.
These projects, where mature trees are grown back from remnant stumps, where informing our people and training our farmers are the #1 priority. These projects are the necessary and scalable examples we need. They do not only regreen the environment, at the same time, they provide our people with the necessary and alternative sources of income.
As a son of a single mother, was not able to pay my university fees when I was in second year. So in my last year at the university, I decided to conduct a research to find out why the yield from my mother's farm was not able to support my education. It was revealed that sudden decline of agricultural productivity was attributed to one, bush burning for survival, and the trees which serve as carbon sinks are also being cut down for charcoal. All these things brings about dramatic climate change in the area and the degradation of the land. So we decided to find out the best and alternative revenue source for our women who are really engaged in these activities. And we came out with this business model, integrated beekeeping and cashew plantation. We recruit them from the various communities that we work with. We train them on the best practices of integrated beekeeping and cashew plantation. We buy the product from them, process, package, and distribute to the market. This was to create sustainable jobs because we cannot stop them from bush burning, illegal cutting of trees, and overgrazing without giving them an alternative sustainable source of income, just to substitute for their activities. And it really works to perfection.
To regreen our environment, we need to create the sustainable jobs of tomorrow so that we can nurture our children in an environmentally friendly way. Our children hold the future of our continent, and with our sustainable sources of income comes the environmental education of our youth.
We are called to be good stewards of the earth. And you know what good stewards do? Good stewards take care of the land, take care of the planet, and leave it better than they found it. They leave it in a good shape. I will not harm nature because I'm supposed to be a good steward and to make sure that we leave this planet better than we found it, and make sure that we cultivate the land and make sure that it's beautiful for the next generations. I took children to one of the streams in Nairobi that is actually polluted. And I remember a question that one of those children asked me was that, who did this. So it tells you that children really want to do something about the environment, but we have to make them feel connected to nature, and we also need to make them understand the challenges that nature is facing, and then make sure that we involve them as part of the solution, because we cannot leave them behind when it comes to restoring our landscapes.
Africa is the continent of youth. There's power in youth. So I feel that the youth are going to be key to any idea that is going to, take root. My name is Rocky Dawouni. I am a musician from Ghana. I'm a believer in using the leverage of music for social transformation. A lot of times my focus too has been on empowerment. I've always believed that a society is only strong when you are able to encourage and mint new leaders. So I try to leverage that power in terms of opening up conversation with people. We were born into this incredible, beautiful space, this earth. You put a seed in the ground, it grows. The earth gives to us freely. There's the water that flows. If it's clean enough, you fetch it. You can drink water, you can use some to cook. So all these resources are given to us, are part of our ecosystem. And I feel that an evolved species is the one that really recognizes these as assets and does everything that they can to make sure that you don't abuse it. In all my advocacy, I felt that I needed to just be a catalyst for people to take action, because in the long run, it's about protection of life and protection of creation.
I am proud that we taught lots of children about saving the environment, and they are still eager to know more and come back to get more knowledge about that. When kids are taught about saving nature, they go back to their local communities and they can spread the message.
I dream of a world where we can put people and planet above profits. We need to make sure that everyone is being mindful of how they will leave this planet for the next generations. And that's my dream for the world today. A people that will make sure that we are mindful of how we leave this planet for all generations to come.
A dream shared by every single one of us. We're ready to build a green African future. One where our people and planet go hand in hand.
Bon, la restauration de l'environnement est d'autant plus importante qu'elle devient une exigence. Il le faut. Nous n'avons plus le choix. Nous avons intérêt à reboiser notre environnement. Sinon, nous allons droit au mur. Le monde va compter demain sur l'Afrique, parce que l'avenir, c'est l'Afrique. Ça, il faut le dire. L'Afrique peut nourrir un tiers de la planète si vraiment ses potentialités sont bien exploitées. Moi, j'y crois. Il faudra tout simplement davantage sensibiliser la jeune population. Et pour ce faire, il faut que l'enfant, dès le bas âge, qu'on lui inculque des valeurs environnementales. Donc, il est possible d'avoir une belle Afrique avec toutes les potentialités. Maintenant, je demande aux jeunes de rester chez eux, d'y croire et de développer cette Afrique-là.
In encouraging everyone concerned. If you have an idea, think about it, consult about it, pray about it, and then rise with an answer. Do it. If you wait for clear answers on everything, you'll never get there. Do it. It's in the course of doing that our vision gets clarified, sharpened, strengthened, and focused. Where we have reached now is a point of no return. There's no reason at all of doubting. It can be done. It can be done. Play your part.
climate crisis can be solved by nature-based solutions. Landscape restoration is not just a solution for the African continent. The world's forests, along with its oceans, absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide circulating in our atmosphere. Congo's mighty rainforest, along with the Amazon, are effectively the Earth's lungs. And protecting these lungs is the crucial task at hand. Ecosystems support all life on Earth. So the healthier our ecosystems are, the healthier the planet and its people will be. As part of our restoration initiative, the Democratic Republic of Congo has pledged to restore millions of hectares of degraded land in the next decade. Across our continent, these examples exist not only in the Congo. Countries such as Tanzania, Madagascar, Ghana, Kenya, and Senegal have similar ambitions. Today's urge to protect and restore damaged ecosystems has never been more crucial. The natural world sustains all life on Earth, and with healthier ecosystems, we become a healthier species. Landscape restoration is the mandatory future investment that affects and yields its profits along every step of the way. The task at hand is to restore to productivity 126 million hectares of African soil within the next decade, a fulfillment of the great responsibility bestowed on a continent that proudly thrives on tomorrow. I want you to understand, we all share the same responsibility. This future will not make it to become our history, because we have already started an unprecedented endeavor here. Soon, her waters will reach the seeds, and when they sprout, we will believe. She'll show us flowers that have never bloomed, creating opportunities no one could ever assume. The nutrients in her soils will provide, creating fields of green within a fortnight. She can draw rains that can pour through the night, creating succulent grasses so wildlife can thrive. She breathes the planet. She breathes us life. She is the answer to prevent our demise. She gives us power. She gives us life. All she wants in return is for us to survive.
Y254. Imagine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Why in the Morning,
where we talk entrepreneurship and finance with ultimate risk takers and game changers.
Give you insightful career advice.
discuss women making an impact in the society,
as well as issues affecting men.
Health matters affecting the youth and politics, technology,
not forgetting music and lifestyle,
and getting up close and personal with your favorite stars.
So make sure umetrosanyika na sisi.
Usanyika.
Isha nyamesema.
Every weekday morning.
From 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Hashtag find the man.
Hosa tekenywe.
sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
कुछ कुछ होता है क्या करूँ हाय
पी लूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
Oh, you're dealing with the boss. If we break up, yeah, you know that it's a loss.
This week on The Buzz,
Said you want me back, you can't touch this.
Liam Neeson is back with another action-packed film titled Absolution.
You're crazy. Can you just walk away?
Abinguma lets us know all about his new album on Creative Corner. We will highlight the life story of Cynthia Erivo.
A bullet in my gun.
Find out what led to the alleged fallout of Ogobina and Damo Facebook.
God is in people, but so is the devil.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Just to kill me ain't too many times.
Naomba nafasi mimi nicheze nawe ateja karibu siniche kitoka oye atujua ni but tonight you could be my babe soga nambe inform imekubali excuse me.
Promise me, Sam, not to do the things I've done.
Kama umepewa sahau shida kama umesota leo tupige makelele.
That is the energy that we are starting off, that whenever the energy is wrong, we beat it wrong out here at karaoke. The only show you get the opportunity to hear the courage of Omen. Look at the mic through the eye and get to unleash the inner rock star.
I am Lion Zion, yeah, I'm on the rise.
Every Saturday at 10 p.m. and I repeat on 6 p.m. With me, Professor Kamau, kijana aliye na uzoefu mithili ya shilingi kwa ya pili on your number one youth channel station Y254. Imagine!
Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune in to Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
It's art, it's culture, it's fun, it's attitude. We sample some of the best artistic works locally and beyond our borders. Oh, and don't get me started on the cultural events. Music, dance, fine art, culinary arts, and much, much more. You name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki. Please join me each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Y254 channel.
Street anthem kings and queens, sound the alarm. Yeah man, buckle up for the biggest and the baddest show in the country. This is Inner Yard Reggae at Y254 channel.
Yes, sire. Mission in a back is the same oneness of Rastafari.
Jano, my name is Mandy Moses, the positive warrior, alongside the baddest in the land.
Selector DJ D-Rich, selecting the very best of reggae and dancehall music.
na unajua ni aje, pia tutakuwa tuna live interviews,
hype sessions,
alafu pia tunakuletea what has been trending in the Caribbean land. So sikose each and every Saturday 7:30 kwenye PM
until 10 PM.
Sure.
Rastafari.
Yo man.
God, you bless me, bless me, bless me. You bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh God, you bless me.
Y254. Imagine.
My name is Tatio Saningo, and I'm a clinical dermatologist. Yeah. So, skincare is something that needs a routine. And as a dermatologist, I can tell you for a fact is that we need to discuss skincare in terms of daily regime. And it's something that is so simple. I always tell people it doesn't need to be very expensive. You don't need to complicate it, okay? Small nitty-gritty here and there works very well for skin. I always tell you, when you wake up in the morning, you have a day routine and you have an evening routine. So when you wake up in the morning, I always advise maybe you cleanse your face or just wash your face with clean water. And then after that, you moisturize your face and you use a sunscreen. And you can go. Then when you come back at maybe in the evening, the thing that you need to do is you cleanse your face, and then of course you moisturize your face, and that is it. It can be very simple, but of course there are other things that we can add at least, but the basic things always might be very simple and make it a routine. We are Africans, what I can say, and I live and practice in a country that is in the tropicals, and being in the tropic means that we are not immune to sun damage. There is a lot of sun, and that means, of course, most of us are majority type 6 skin type, and except the very few that have gone to type 5, majority of us are skin type 6, which are common for pigmentary disorders, of course. This includes things like acne, this includes things like melasma and other post-inflammatory hyperpigmentations. So you need to analyze your skin well and know, get an expert to know your skin type. Probably a dermatologist can be the best person to advise you, or maybe tell you how your skin type is. So for oily and combination skin and sensitive skin type, if you were this person, so in terms of skincare product, go for chemical ingredients rather than physical ingredients. But if you have dry skin combination and normal skin, then you can go to physical ingredients. And this is something that most of the patients there outside don't know or don't have ideas. So you just go to a cosmetic shop or maybe a pharmacy, and you get a product that might not work for you. It may be very expensive, but might not work for you because your skin type by then is not ideal for that. I always tell us, climate is something that is very significant. We cannot avoid it. Even as you see what the president told us, some few weeks ago, we were having this campaign on Panda Mti, because climate is something that is very important. Environment really determines us. And I like what you call intersectionality, because it affects us. And skin is one of the health issues that might be affected because of that. In this regard, we are talking about the issues of ozone layer depletion. And what we're experiencing right now in Kenya, we are having flash floods, we are having drought that is prolonged, and of course now we have been told we are going to have El Nino, and of course we have seen the short period of rains that are there. It's something that happened 30 years ago. So the ozone layer is so much depleted, and because of that now we are more exposed, our skin is more exposed to the ultraviolet radiations. So we usually have a lot of ultraviolet. We have ultraviolet A, ultraviolet B, and of course C that hits the earth. and evidence has shown that they can penetrate even the windows and the glasses, even at your house, in your bedroom, when you are opening your windows. The sun that can you can really get photo damage because of that, and that is the reason why we advise people to use sunscreen always. So we don't really get skin cancer as an adverse effect, but of course pigmentary disorders are one of the things that we really get. Things like melasmas, acne. We have seen a lot of people getting acne, of course, that as a result of that, and usually a bit tricky to treat it. And of course, your skin, it means that when you have sun damage, then your skin is exposed to several damages, and then because of this, then you tend to get a lot of damage in your skin. Okay, so these are small things that we can get here and there. But when you have sunscreen and use it correctly every day before you leave your house, we advise at least 15 minutes prior to leaving your house, apply a sunscreen. And it doesn't have to be a lot, because we have what we call sun protecting factor 30. We have the one that has SPF 15, 30, and 50. And even right now, we're talking 60 plus and even 100. We have what we call the advantage about us blacks, and of course I'm talking in that aspect because I'm Kenyan, and people who are living in the tropics, and of course we have skin type 6, so we have not necessarily have more melanin that, like, as compared to the whites, but we have what we call we tend to have what we call a melanosome. And this melanosome, the whole human origin tend to have the same melanosome. Okay, usually like that keratinocyte to one melanocyte, and that is the same, but ours is more dispersed, and that is where more dispersed and wider, and that is where the melanin is stored. And that means at least we have what we call a sun protecting factor. We have at least 15. So when we tell you to use now a sunscreen because of that, then what we are advising is use a sunscreen, at least sun protecting factors 15. Don't buy much. You don't have to cost you. It doesn't have to cost you a lot. Just something small, so that you are able to protect your skin. Yeah.
Y254. Imagine.
Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
पीलूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
Oh, you're dealing with the boss. If we break up, yeah, you know that it's your loss.
This week on The Buzz.
Said you want me back, you can't touch this.
Liam Neeson is back with another action-packed film titled Absolution.
You're crazy. Can you just walk away?
Abinguma lets us know all about his new album on Creative Corner. We will highlight the life story of Cynthia Erivo.
A bullet in my gun.
Find out what led to the alleged fallout of Ogobina and Damo Facebook.
God is in people, but so is the devil.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune into Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
What's up, beautiful people? It's your host with the most, Muna Joy.
And your DJ Faro the Finisher catches every Friday from 6 p.m. mpaka saa 2 usiku on Tano Kali Show.
Right here on Kenya's #1 channel, YT54.
Oh yeah, baby Jamboree. I like the way we come, buddy.
We're going to be giving you hot trending topics that are happening on social media platforms. We will also be interviewing hella talented artists on the show as well.
Kama kawaida, I'll be here to give you the best mixes. Alafu sahau pia kuna top 5 hits of the week.
All right, see you then.
Like I never loved me in my life. So love me like you never loved me.
Identity.
You ever get the feeling that you're like 2 different people?
Love.
I think about you too.
Lust.
Happy birthday.
Friendship.
You guys are my family.
Whoa, what is this?
Escapades that annihilate our innocence. For this is a story of the young and restless.
I love you, Nairobi.
The hungry.
But I want more.
And free-spirited. Sometimes sweet. Sometimes sour. Sugar.
Ever wanted your voice to be heard, your opinion to matter? Where else if not here on Unfinished, where we focus on matters related to business, politics, entertainment, name it all. Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Y254 Unfinished, because this is the only place where we get finished matters.
Y254. Imagine.
I think ni kama Benjata ni change hii ngoma juu. Every time I keep hearing this song, I'm always dancing. My mind is always thinking of standing and representing the Wakwitu nation. Anyway, karibu back to Y254 TV. Thank you for still keeping it here. We are very glad. Okay, me, myself, and I, because Valentine is not there today. So, we are very glad that you are able to still stick with us and stay with us. We are on our first conversation. I think nilikwambia uende kwa our social media handle, uende uangalie ni nini tunaulizana hapo leo. But away from what we are asking today, I told you today we are talking about GBV, that is gender-based violence. What is gender-based violence? Have you been a victim? Has someone near you been a victim? Have you seen it happen in the society? Hata kama si wewe imekufanyikia, you know, we get to hear these things left, right, center, especially of late. We have been seeing, I don't want to call it a campaign. I don't know if I should call it a movement against stop killing women. So it's just interesting that these 16 days of activism this year are coming at such a time as this. But you know how we're gonna do it? We have someone in studio to talk to us about it. She is very passionate about matters gender-based violence, and she is a women advocate. Sasa leo sitaki kumtaja kwa majina, nataka ajita. Niliwaambia wakawa walanga H. So ukisikia nikisema hajitaje ama ajitaje, you flow. Karibu sana.
Asante, sasa nataka mai.
Unataka mai?
Nataka mai. Anyway, my name is Vivian Kabonom. That is my official name. My stage name is Vivi Cabs. I am an actress, a spoken word artist, a beadwork artist, among other things. I will say I am an artist, you know. Other than that, I am very passionate about women. I am a woman, so
Nani alisema ni obvious juu you're a woman?
No, I think hata kwa CV. No, si kwa CV tunaandika. Kama kwa CV we write. You have to identify yourself. Anyway, I am very passionate about so the 16 days against GBV. It happens yearly and started on 25th of November. That was on Monday. Happens until December. Actually, there will be a match because we're talking about issues that have been happening. Just to shed light, gender-based violence, as much as the higher population is where women are the ones who go through it a lot, especially because of the love issues, you know, marital issues. But then at the same time, also the men go through it. And sometimes it's not only physical, sometimes it is also emotional abuse, you know, where somebody really makes you feel like you're not even worthy or something of the sort. So gender-based violence cuts across a lot of issues. And let us know that there's gender-based violence and also there's femicide, which we're also pushing for it to be just a crime by itself. Because right now, femicide, people are not sure. Should it fall under homicide? Should it fall under murder, you know? So these are issues that we're just trying to address during these 16 days against GBV.
Hey, unpack kila kitu in one. Sasa unataka tuongelele nini?
Usijali vitu ni mob.
But how would you define gender-based violence?
Gender-based violence is a very large, it's a very wide area, but I would say gender-based violence is where a person inflicts trauma to you, because I will not describe it as just blows and kicks, because like that's why I even started by saying that there is a lot of issues. I mean, even there is emotional trauma that a person might cause to you, because a person might not give you a blow or might not kick you, but then venye anakuambia, you know, like hata wewe unajua mimi ndiye nilikusaidia, look sasa wewe umenona kila mahali, you know. I mean that
kuongelesha vibaya pia ni GBV.
Unajua kuna ile pia wewe, okay, I am not advocating for gender for kuongelesha vibaya, but there is that kabanta between friends and everything. There's zile vitu zenye tunaongeaga kama wa Kenya. For example, Mkenya ni ngumu akwambia, hey, na leo nakaa smart. Kenya will tell you, hey, na leo umeamua uoge, you know. But I'm not talking about that. There is that repeatedly over and over again, where because when it comes to gender-based violence, even when, and it is very important to even read about books, to read blogs, to listen to podcasts, to understand what these people actually go through and have first-hand information, because it is something that goes over and over again, you know. And emotional trauma, it's GBV is just like suicide. It's not a one-time thing, happens over and over. And the problem with gender-based violence is that most of it starts from love bombing. You know, love bombing where unasikia manze, hey, this is the one, you know. So you're ready to compromise because he has taken you to the levels of, wow, you mean this person can love me this much? And then it's boom. So it's what will you call it? Like in a panic ishuka, mara mkopoa. Yeah, the toxic kind of thing, you know. So gender-based violence is a large thing. Happens to men, happens to ladies. Might be sodomization, might be rape, might be beating, might be emotional. It's a lot of things. Ata kufungiwa, you know, where for example, you had friends when you were starting dating this person.
Hey,
all of a sudden.
Ask me about it. I know such a person.
Tell me about it. Please tell me about it.
I know such a person.
Nipe. Some the tea was still hot. But it is something that is happening, you know, where this person, unajua, huyo mtu feel like you don't need anybody else. You only need me.
You only need me.
In fact, you don't need yourself, my dear. Why are you going to work?
Mama. A friend I know.
Why are you going to work, Mama?
Let me tell you, I know of someone.
Yeah?
Oh my God, I hope
Tell me about it.
Feel like me,
No, but you know, the thing is, that story reflects on a lot of people. So it's just a it's just a reflection of what is happening.
When it trigger, I know
so
of
tell
someone.
me about it.
I know of someone. She started dating someone like 3 months ago.
Yeah, right.
Within 3 months, we were friends, like tumekuwa mabeshte kutoka kampo, like we've been friends for a very long time. So all of a sudden ametoka watu one by one, like
na unashanga
so unashanga
kumeendaje tangu upatane na nani wewe?
So in my mind, I'm thinking, I just hope this person is not alienating you from people. That's what I'm just thinking.
It is actually something that is happening a lot, okay? And that is why that is why the love bombing happens, because umefungwa macho. Unasikia venye love is blind, eh? And sometimes unasikia it is, have you tried to advise your friend when she or he is in love? Trust you, it is the hardest thing.
There are 3 kinds of people you cannot advise. I can't remember the third one. The first one is a girl in love.
A girl in love, not even a woman.
A mother following her village prophet. Hey.
The village.
Hey, the other one I can't
think
remember.
It's a person with money, probably.
I don't remember, but I remember the 2. Well, some 3 people you can't advise. A girl in love, a mother following her village prophet.
Yes.
I
think it's probably a person with mtu amepata pesa, because unajua pia pesa ina kiburi. But the thing is, also the way we women, the way we grew up, or the society of the roles of a woman, and I am very glad that we are even having these conversations, because this is a sign enough that women are becoming empowered, you know. And I believe that something that is actually my mantra, or my bio. I would say, like, I believe, or my favorite quote is that empowered women empower other women, and empowered women and empower other women. That is the same talk that we were having here some time back, even unpacking female friendships, because this is what is happening. A man comes to you, and during the phase of love bombing, and akusho, baby, you don't need me. You need to go out, say no more. I will take you out. Awa mnendaga na wao sijui wapi, club or something. No, let me take you to Diani, my love. You get? You see, I don't need these people. In fact, tukienda na mabeshte wangu lazima tuchange changana with this person, and paying everything, you know. My mom pays for everything, my guys. You get, you know.
Yes,
so slowly by slowly, unapata hata mabeshte wako. It's like, for example, you talked about your friend. You were together with them from Campo. Life ya Campo ya kusurvive na 20 bob per day, you know, that kind of sharing everything. Now it is different, because you guys mlikuwa mnendage komba kuchukua nguo. Now she's wearing designer clothes.
What?
Might not even be that, because let's not even see about that, because gender-based violence is also happening with people who can't even afford it. You know, it is also happening to people where even the woman is the one who is providing the whole everything. And that is why we also need to open up to books. For example, there is a book that Mary Rizentrade, the Smart Money woman, goes off also to the Smart Money tribe. Okay, the Smart Money woman tribe. Okay, so there's a story about this woman. It's a Nigerian book. Okay, and this is a lady doing well. I think she's at a SOA or something, but she has been, just like I was talking about, the way a woman, the society expects a woman to be. We are taught to downgrade ourselves, or no, there's a word for it. I mean, for example, I am driving, or I am earning this kind of salary, but I can't talk about that, because according to the standards, mwanamke anafaa kuwa chini ya mume wake, you know. Assuming I am earning 20,000, my husband is earning 10,000, in case, you know, I am not supposed to talk about it. Let me say I earn 5,000. In fact, tukienda nje and I am the one to pay the bill, acha nipatie mume wangu pesa hapa chini, isionekane I am the woman of the house. You get? Those are things that are happening, because we have been taught that a woman cannot have a master's and the husband have a degree. Who said that?
Ask me. Tell me about
it. Right?
Tell me about it.
You know, like, tumefunzwa tu. So this is a case where a man, and now because changu ni changu, we've also been taught about that and everything.
My money is mine, his money is ours.
Yes, there's also about that perspective, but we tend to forget that even from the word go, by the time you're accepting this person, unamkubali akiwa hivyo venye ako, but then let us also know that there are men out here who are taking advantage of the women. In fact, there is massacres which are happening. For example, it's sad to say, but the femicide, that in fact, I think the ruling, the very popular case that happened in 2018, you know, the ruling about the Joey case and everything, the ruling just happened recently. But there is a woman who was doing really good, and she was murdered because there was some money involved. Okay? So even in families, you find that a husband is just deciding to be lazy for some reason, or not taking care of his things. Like any bank account, why are you not making, unajua kuna pia hii ni guilt trip. You know, ukimwambia, by the way, I gave you 20,000 shillings. Where did you take that money? Ako like, no, so you want to make me feel like I am not a man because I am not providing for you. So tumefikishana hapo now that you're saying unapata pesa nyingi kuniliko. And now because you're supposed to be submissive, what do? I'm sorry. The next time unamwambia ni sawa pole basi baby. I didn't mean it to be like that, but ni sawa. Okay, ni sawa, but nilikuwa nataka pia kuchukua 20,000 juu najua mimi na my boys. You know? These are issues that are happening. So GBV cuts across all things because wewe uko hapa, you're funding your husband, and yet your husband is funding other girls. So literally you're being cheated on, you're funding your man. I mean, it's a lot of things. And now this is part of GBV because he's financially draining you. A lot of our stress, a lot of issues that run around they revolve around financial issues. And finances is an issue that is affecting major households, from the financial independence, we are to live with each other for a long-term period. That means we have seen people go through a lot, from not having a job to a business failing or something. But now when it becomes repeatedly, hakuna venye wewe kila wakati unanga kazi. There's no way you will be starting startups every time and they're failing, you know? And yet, you're not even pushing me, because it might happen. But as long as you are taking me as a woman and you're encouraging me to push more without you being intimidated, that I feel like will be the best thing ever.
So what inspires your passion to talk about GBV?
I would say the voice of a woman is quite not hard. To start with, I am an artist. From the word go, I used to use my voice to speak about issues happening in the society. Other than that, I am very passionate about people. I pursued human resource management, and that shows I wanted to learn about people. Only that for that I had to go through the employee system, but I can also diverse into PR, which is dealing with the public in general. And one thing that I realized even in my journey, and something as an artist, is it's very hard not to be in the spotlight. Literally, we live on the spotlight. So finding a person who gets you and understand that I am a woman doing this, but then at the same time, for example, for me, I say I am Vivi Cabs. For example, on the TV series I'm doing, I am Ruth there. So a person who understands that there is Ruth, there is Vivi Cabs, and then there's Vivian, that girl who my mom knows, you know. So that person who understands you, I found that there's that niche, and even we women, there's also that issue where everybody thinks that a woman should be an enemy of another person. I don't understand why we can't be having friendships with women and they last. Everybody anasema mwanamke ni nyoka. Why is it? There are issues that I'm going to talk to you, to a fellow woman, that I can't talk to a man, no matter how tumeingiana aje, even if it is my best friend, that man, my one and only, who cuts across everything. You need that woman figure in your life. And the way I grew up with women, my older siblings, my younger siblings, the women around me, grandmom, aunties, you know, it made me be more passionate to talk about women issues, because we're not addressing them enough. And the truth is, as much as even a conversation that is coming up with femicide kind of thing and the feminist kind of perspectives of, or people trashing feminism or being a feminist, but the truth is these are issues that are happening because the larger population are women, actually. You know, so the larger population means that we need to talk about these things more, because it means that more people are experiencing it, you know. Only that a lot of things are happening here. It's very sad that everywhere you go, the ladder is pyramid, where women are allowed here, but the higher you go, the fewer women become, you know. Hapa kwa clerk level or kwa whatever.
For secretaries, the front office.
Tumeshona, lakini ikifika pale kwa CEO, the ladder, of which it is also our what will I say? It is also, I don't want to say disadvantaged, because it is actually our pride, but it is also about biological factors. For you, it is one step away. When you get pregnant, you have 9 months, kabla catch up. Your male counterpart is continuing with his work. Not to say that we don't want to give, of course we want to raise children. We want to be those family people. But the way a man can balance, we call it work-life balance. We studied that in HR. The way a man can balance his life is very different. Because I was actually, and that is why I'm saying we women should even learn to read feminine books, to listen to feminine podcasts, to immerse ourselves. I'm not saying, we have men, we have boyfriends, we have lovers, we have friends, we have colleagues, but then at the same time, can we, unaona ukipata memorial, base, men, and like they treasure their man time. Literally. Mwanaume kama ni ball, it's either twende nawe. Na hata today is boys time. Yeah. Sisi kuna game, right? EPL, ikifika time ya EPL, kuna game ya Manchester na Man U. Okay. Is that right? Everton.
Okay, you and I both. And let me tell you, had Val been here today, angekuangalia la macho mbaya because she supports Manchester. But kuna Man City, kuna Man City.
No, yes, sasa ndio nilikuwa nasema kuna Man U na kuna Man City.
Okay.
Yeah, I am a Man U fan. Kwa mdomo. But I know Rashford. I know Rashford. Anyway, my thing was, men are very
just keep talking, ignore Benja.
Men are very, yani wanachunga man's time yao, from the PS to watching game to playing pool. But what about we ladies? And mind you, for example, a woman in her mid-age, mwanamke atoke asubuhi, aliamka 5 asubuhi, and sometimes we're not even saying that it's something that we mind doing, but it's, can you see what you're doing? Can you guys help us? We're not supposed to be doing all this. We're supposed to be helpers by any case. Mwanamke amke asubuhi, ndo watoto. Let me tell you, handling kids is tough. Sijui mwingine hana socks, mwingine sijui kiatu. Let me tell you, it's in the morning. Mbona unaniuliza kiatu yako iko wapi asif? I mean, you know.
I'm just picturing my mother as you say that.
I grew up in that house. So big up to them. I hope they're watching. So, umeamka na hiyo struggle. Right now we're talking about a working mom, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to wake up by 5 so that you can make it to the office by 8 a.m. For people like us who are in the entertainment industry, sometimes our call time is 7. Sometimes our call time goes even to 5:30 and 4:30. Right? So you're supposed to do all these, your first job, which is to be a mother and to be a wife. That is your first job, you know, that you start ukona shifts. And then you have to beat the Nairobi traffic. You haven't reached, says you invest in school fees. So wewe ni mtu mat or something. You can't afford, you know, because you have to be saving. Or you have to be saving, I mean. Ukibarikiwa pia ni sawa, but either way the point is, you have to be rushing with time. Umefika. Ndo yote na umeanza kungana office work, whatever. For people like us, it is set, shoot, cut, ndege, whatever. You are on your menses for worst cases. You have to deal with your crumbs and you still have to deliver. You know, these are issues that we're supposed to be talking about. In fact, I feel like for any man or a boyfriend out there, I think girlfriends deserve, or wives deserve menses packages, honestly.
Hey! Where wanaume mko wapi?
Also, even for the organizations.
Yes,
please. Yes, also for the organization. I don't know, it is an open conversation. But honestly, I feel like women also deserve some menses off. Sick days, they should be counted as sick days.
When men wake up and they also say they deserve something.
What are they? Hey, are they having? Unajua kulikuwa na test ya men if the men can cram, and literally it was not even taken to 100%, and they were crawling on the floor. We go through that on a monthly basis. Let me not even go. We studied about that classics book, or even in camp or in high school. We know about this. It is a suffering 1 week of those days. And literally women's body is like a machine, which is countless. I mean, you finish your menses, you have that period where you're feeling very energetic and everything, where you're very clingy. You see, yes, I didn't have a wrong choice choosing this man. Mind you, it is the 5th year into the marriage, but you're very attached to him. 2 weeks into your ovulation starts. Now it is a whole thing, pimples everywhere. You had continuity. Now you have a people.
Can we take you back to her?
Now we have 3 weeks into the thing. Now your husband, you collect sasa shwali. Hiyo meno yako by the way nifurahishi. Why are you smiling like that? Mbona unapika mayai asubuhi?
Mbona huwa nataka apike mayai saa ngapi?
Hapana, kwa nini unisaidie kukula hii bajia ama kwa nini nisikule food yako yenye umeoda? Najua nimeoda yangu lakini mbona tusikule yako? I mean, kwa nini uniambie you love me?
Being a woman.
You know, and then now there's the menses time, which is a whole different conversation. And I feel like these are also things that we need to be talking about because, and that is why, in fact, when I'm talking about things, I'm talking about them intentionally because menses issues have been a taboo in the society where even as mothers, we don't want to talk about it. We are throwing I'm saying we're throwing, or even as older sisters, mothers, older sisters, just the older female figure, we're throwing it to the teachers. The teachers are throwing it to the people who will come talk about it, the people who will be supplying pads for something. And these are also even conversations that we need to be talking about. And these are all conversations that we talk about during this time about GBV because it is women's issues and on a whole package. Because they're women who found themselves in these situations because they're not informed. Trust you me, when I'm talking about these, when I'm talking about the cycles, it's because we are informed and we know how our bodies react to these times. We know about our safe days, which sometimes are not really good. We know how our bodies are. We know when our bodies are most fertile. But there are women, there are young girls out there who don't have that information. In fact, there are a lot of people who have a regular cycle but are not sure when their dates are. Might be happening, you know, and even if they knew, they are afraid of their dates starting because they know that for 3 days it's going to be hell for them. They're not going to go to school. They are afraid of messing their clothes. They leave wondering, you finish these menses and you're like, where will I get the pads for the next menses?
Oh, yeah.
And these are even conversations which lead us even to the government, the role of the government. Because when you're saying that you will start taxing things like pads, what is that? Things like diapers. How can you tax choya mtoto? How can you tax toilet? Mtoi hana, you know? These are issues that we need to be talking about. Issues even, why are condoms supplied for free yet sanitary towels are like bei yake inapanda on a daily basis? Sex is voluntary. It's you to decide. You can abstain, which is people are advised to. There are a lot of issues that you can work around it, but we don't have a choice. Menses are not a choice. It is not something that you can. I think it's high time we move to a conversation of, don't even make pads cheaper. What about you even make them for free? I mean, why don't you supply them for free? Because these are requirements. These are basic need.
All right.
Yes.
Let me ask you something related to poetry. I know you do.
Thank you.
I know you do poetry. Niko almost kukwambia utufanyie poetry.
Nitafanya, in fact, because we're talking, it's actually, I had a show on 25th. I'll just give a brief thing about it. Na nitachapa line tu kidogo.
I love poetry. So, I wouldn't mind to sit down.
Just to make sure you do this.
Some color. So let me ask you, what issues do you address in your poetry?
Okay, so my poetry goes, art is something so big. I mean, even for my beadwork, leo nitashona hii, and then tomorrow I just need something completely different to make, or I will find something different. And sababu tunasemanga hakuna otero. There's no legend. I mean, on a daily basis, my content might change. Though as a woman, and as a woman who is very passionate about talking about issues to do with women, and even like right now, I am very much into corporate poetry where we find themed pieces. For example, like my latest piece, which I was performing on Monday. We had an event because of the 16 Days Against GBV. We were opening up. So there is the Legal Caravan, which deals, and actually it is very important for us to also follow these kind of things where women have safe spaces, you know, where the victims of GBV, unajua ukishatoka hapo, there are women who, there are spaces where women can be taken and at least for them to go through therapy and everything until they can go back to the society. We have for the Ma community, which is rampant. I'm not saying it is only for them, but you know, there are places where FGM is still happening. And if you can allow me, just so that I can finish, probably let us go back to the conversation about even the role of us women in inflicting GBV to other people, like empowering, for example, for FGM. You know, I think that is a segment, that's just something that we will unpack. But let me talk about poetry. So for me, I talk about issues that are happening in the society, but also I use my art to talk about me, you know, so it depends. Sometimes I do themed poetry. For example, like this time we're talking about GBV. So I will find, if I have any motivation to write, I will be writing a lot about GBV, you know. If it is the Christmas season, I will tend to write a lot about the season, the Christmas season. But for me, therapy started off as, poetry started off as therapy. So I also write my own pieces which I deeply relate to, you know. Sasa nimeheartbreakiwa. Nimeheartbreakiwa. Are you getting me? My
it's like
pen
I
paused
reread where I was going.
Yes. So tell me. Yes, you will.
Niulize maswali magumu ama niwache?
Uliza, usiogope, uliza, kwani iko nini?
Unajua walisema, ukiona watu wengi wa kuandika poetry wanaandikanga sana kwa sababu wako heartbroken.
Well, and actually that is also an open conversation where I think there is a, I think she's
wongo. Mimi kwenye nilikuwa heartbroken ndo niliandika poems mingi. After nimepata mapenzi.
No. So there is actually, and there's a prayer, like for me a personal prayer. Yo si wongo. Yo na si wongo. What's the name? Because, and that is even when we say that sometimes we pour our pain on our pen, something of this sort. Changanya hizo majina bora it makes sense, but pouring pain through the pen, you know, and that is why even conversation like journaling come through where you write. But for me, I am praying and I am growing to a point. I think I am growing and I am very intentional to grow to a point where I am not writing from a point of pain. I mean, I want to write poetry when I am sad, when I am happy. Because, and that is also something that is happening with most artists. Because tuko na inspiration sana tukiandika wakati hatujatokea kwa block. Tukiwa ghetto, tukiwa pale na mabezo, mimi niko hapa na bezi wangu, tumekula chapo za mbao, you know. But what happens when now the poetry starts paying you or your art starts paying you? When you are now finally a creative entrepreneur, ulikuwa unaandika kuhusu pain yako. Now you're not experiencing pain anymore. That is why mtu ana release ngoma. Mtu ana release ngoma. Exactly. Sometimes poverty is the biggest motivation, and that is where we need to be, because that is scarcity mentality. That is scarcity mentality. This was my year of abundance. I don't want to write pieces about, mimi nataka niandike piece yenye najua hii piece nitaenda kuperform to people who will listen and they'll be like, wow, because we have stories. And I want to write from a point of empowerment.
Yeah.
You know, so that is even what I am doing right now. It's either I am creating empowerment or I am being empowered through my pieces. That is what I am focusing. In fact, even my latest piece, though I'm also a storyteller. I am a storyteller. So most of my pieces...
Easy stories. What your pieces you talk about?
So for example, like most of my pieces, especially themed pieces, sometimes when you have to run through a piece, you have a 10 minutes performance, so you have to run through a piece for like 8 minutes. So stories are the best way of telling these stories because, for example, GBV, I want to tell a story about a lady, you know, and then have an introduction and have a conclusion or establish the problem, nieleweshe watu what it is going through. Because sometimes, and that is why I really love storytelling poetry, because inanipea the voice of telling, ni kama nimeandika script. I am an actor, and kazi ya actor in telling a story of a person. So I want to use my poetry to write about a story. Like for example, the piece that I will just give the conclusion of it, but that story, I will upload it also on my YouTube at Vivekabs, VIVY space KBZ, but we will talk about it later. But it is, by the time I'm finishing, you know about the story of Wakesho, from her childhood. How did she grow? How were her parents? Where is her trauma coming from? How was her marriage? How did she ever experience love? Because kuna pia people who can't experience love because of the issues that happened back then. I mean, your father started raping you way back then. those are issues that we're going through. In fact, my dad also deals with children, and these are issues that I saw happening from back then because unasikia wakiongea. So from the word go, you have seen men as people who inflict pain. How will you fall in love with a man? This is a conversation. That's why even therapy is very important. Because there are a lot of childhood traumas, and also it is also an open conversation where people don't even know what childhood traumas are. Childhood traumas si lazima ikuwe hata kuchapo and everything. Sometimes even kitu yenye ulikuwa unaambiwa, even probably from a point of uambiwi ndio usikia vibaya, but somebody just mention it in a moment and unasikia vibaya. For example, like for me, a person who is very talkative or very active, utapata mtu anakuambia unaongea sana ama uwezi nyamaza. You know,
unakuanga kierere.
No. On point, like a decimal point. I mean, in fact, we were having that conversation where we were, there is networks that happen. There's a friend of mine called Brian Kavalaji, and he runs a Smile a Day hangout, or Tabasamu Concepts hangout. And we were talking about childhood traumas this time, and I was even talking about it. Yo jina kierere, let me tell you, I hate that word.
Walimu kwanza wa primary school sijui ni nini.
Just because nimekuja kukuuliza swali. Ama niko active.
Ama just because I look like naongeanga sana.
Exactly.
I grew up hearing that in school. Actually, I think my mom is the person. I love my mother.
I know.
My mother is the one person who ensured that my self-esteem was not tampered with as a child. She would hear anyone tell me unakwanga kierere, and she would leave my child alone. She would hear anyone say unapenda kukula, because I loved eating as a child. And my mom
I know.
My mom would be like, leave my child alone. She's not eating your food. No,
and in fact,
my mom, you could not tell me negative words.
In fact, also, ndio sababu nasema these childhood traumas are even something that don't, probably they were not telling you from a point of pain or something. They're just telling you, but the way it comes to you, subsisting in watoto.
As a child.
Yes. Na probably hata ni mtoto alikuwa na probably just like we were, you know, hata sisi tulikuwa naambia it's a woman, just mwalimu ana go through her things, menses, but the way we used to address them when they were children, you know. But even even parents have also a very big role to play, because sometimes they're very loving and we understand that they're giving us what they got, but generations are changing. For them, they grew up knowing that for a lady, you're supposed to be wearing dresses. Now we're coming from a point where, Mom, I am good. You know? But I can't understand why my cousins, when they're coming home, they're wearing short dresses and everybody's celebrating them. Mbona mimi nisisuke braids ya blue na mtu wetu wa Nairobi amesuka braid ya blue na kila mtu anamfurahia? Why can't we have this? Even the siblings, because sometimes we come from large families. Even we, the sibling rivalry is also something very important. For us, we are a large family and we grew through equal love. But then you will find some households, and even there's a song in Greek where they say, "Doke dioria otomene atetodo kwa buti horete." Anakujenga buti kiwa imejaa, like anakuja akiwa na do. So right now you're treating them differently. From the word go, venye ata mtoi anaperform, and even that is issues that are even coming up with the women, where tukigrow up, boy akunywe chai, umlete chai, akunywe chai, ache kikombe hapo, wende uchukue, wende uoshe. Why? Just because anaenda kukamua. I know there's roles and everything, but can we also raise our boys to be responsible from the word go? Nani alisema dem ndio lazima oshe vyombo? Nani alisema dem ndio lazima apike? Because now in a grow up, this boy grows up knowing the wife should be the one doing these things, and the lady grows up thinking these are all of the women. You get? Even for the siblings, the way we treat each other. And these are childhood traumas. For example, a girl child. And I understand, just like I said, our parents gave us the best, but even the best might be a source of trauma, which we are allowed to handle. And that is why therapy is very important. Because as a girl child, especially firstborn, pia boy, unajua boy pia unexpected kuhold, but doesn't happen from the word go. Ni akigrow up. But mind you, saizi, kama boy anapata tumesoma si wote pamoja. So even you, uko job, there's something called the black tax. You know?
What's that?
Black tax is where many families, for example, mtu wenu ameenda majuu, si anafaa kuwa na kutumia dollars. Yo, sister yangu anakonga kwa TV, ujui?
Wewe, mbona unaongea kama brother?
Mbona nitumie do? Acha nikwa brother zetu.
My brother is always like, my sister is on TV.
Aki hakuna vijana wanakulaga pesa za masista zao wakubwa kama vijana. But it's okay. It's coming from a point of love, but trust you, lazima ukue tuna kachwani mahali disposal kwa sababu Vivi, unaweza nitumia kachwani. Kuna mahali nimechoma but anyway. These are conversations, even the way as siblings. You know, kuna mwenye like where a girl child from the word go, you're expected to raise your younger siblings. Wewe una time kucheza, like for me, una time kucheza kwa sababu unafaa kuwa umebeba mtoto kwa mgongo.
Oh yeah.
Mtoto akienda, by any chance mtoto aende acheze na maji. Okay, for me I was very cheeky. Probably, I know, na watch TV, excuse me, I'm watching Y254. Alafu mtoto ameenda huko amecheza na maji. So unapata wewe ndio utaulizwa. Wewe utapwa.
Hey, you know. Okay, I don't know because I'm not a first
and
born.
The problem is
mimi ndo nilikuwa naingia kwa maji.
Wewe nyinyi
mimi ndo nilikuwa naingia kwa maji. Sister yangu, my sister used to say, Aki mkajua, okay,
trauma guys.
Sikuwa nacheza juu yako. Niko huku.
Mwana beba huku chapwa. You were the one who was supposed to be beaten.
Mtoto.
Last was lakini fair. Anyway, but sasa unajua, alafu wewe mabeshte wako wote probably now they're the last borns. So they can't relate.
Alafu udate last born.
You know? So this hata sisi as siblings, the way we also talk to our siblings. Wewe uko na kichwa kubwa sana. Wewe unakulaga tu na hunonangi. Wewe umenona sana. Why do we have to tell them? We are all from the same womb. Ametokea tu hivi, nimetokea hivi. We can't, hata vidole za mkono zitoshani. And that is why kila mtu akona role yake. And that is why even as a family whole, the way we address, kwa sababu huyu mtoto ameishi kukua akijua yeye si mrembo. So hata anaingia kwa relationship with expectations. Anatafuta something from the husband yenye alikuwa anafaa kupata child huku utotoni na haezi ipata. You know, even when we talk about the way we are raising our children, the father figure, there are a lot of women who get into relationships and they are looking for a father in their husbands or their boyfriends. You know? Yeah. Then, as much as it's your lover, but you want him to be, it might even be unconsciously.
There's a fatherly void that you want to fill.
Exactly. You get? So these are really conversations that we really need to be having, and that is why I decided to be that voice, because I have lived through this. I have lived to see this, and I might be coming from a very loving family, which I really thank God for. But how many people need to hear? How many people, and also we have also established talking from a point of pain. Why is it that it is only the victim who can talk about it? Why don't we create a safe space where everybody's talking about it, that even when you're talking about it, that you've gone through it, the support system is so, because if I went through it and people are not talking about it, I will need to have twice the audacity or even thrice to talk about it. But when everybody's talking about it, you even become the hero because you actually survived it. You know, these are conversations that we need to be having. And that is why I use poetry for this.
Amazing. So how do you think GBV affects, how does GBV affect not just the immediate family, or not just the victim, like you're saying it, in terms of I need to have the courage twice as much to be able to talk about it.
That's true.
So how does it not just affect the victim, but also the people around the victim and the society at large? Because we admit that people are going through these things. These things are happening. We are victims of, I'm not saying I am, but I'm just talking for the many of us that are, many people that are victims of GBV. How does it not just affect them? It has now become a societal issue. True. How does that affect?
Actually, as cliche as it might be, hurt people, hurt other people. True. Okay? So, if I am a victim of GBV, I have been nimeona nikichapwa. Men to me are enemies. So nikienda job, we're supposed to be working together.
Mwanaume alafu aniangalie vibaya.
Director wangu ni mwanaume.
Alafu aniambie, alafu akushike tu hivi akwambie kama hivi.
Sasa for example like for example for us we have scenes where unaingia kwa nini. So anakushika ndo uingie. But the minute anakushika unakumbuka venye ulishikwa. So unashtuka and then mlikuwa mna roll. You know, things like this. Kwa workspace. So you won't even deliver. Even the friends, you push away your friends. And sometimes people need these people to talk to them. Even men. You know, and that is why even and it is an open conversation where female and male friendships thrive a lot. Because we feel each other's space. Where as a man is afraid to talk about these issues to other men because mwanaume unafaa ujikaze. But akienda kwa dem anamsikiza. Dem anamwambia, it's okay my dear, you can cry. I want my man to be my kababa, my love, please. You can cry. You can cry. I want to create a place or an environment where men can be vulnerable. But when we come from a point of pain, it won't happen. Me, myself, the way I will love, it will be different if I have gone through it. It will be different. The way how do I relate? Okay, so my father inflicted, I'm saying just in a situation, I have a very loving father, God bless him. My father caused trauma to me, right? And then I have my other siblings, and probably wanapendwa. Every time I will be talking negative about my father. But then, that same father is a hero to these other siblings. So, how will our relationship be? Of course, from the word go, there will be a sibling rivalry. When we go to spaces or different spaces where different issues are happening, women, and even now women, when women get children, when you went through pain as a mom back in the day, it will be hard giving your child love 100%. It will be two things. It's either you went through GBV or you were traumatized as a child. We grow from one point of you don't want your child to go through this, so you're very protective. You know, you can't let your husband or the father of your child have a moment with the girl child. Because abunaogopa. You can't, and that is even where fathers and daughters cannot hug. That is a conversation like that. You know, I cannot sit close to my father. There has to be a distance. These are things that are rooting from then. I cannot talk to my father about my menses. You know, like we cannot talk about, girls cannot talk about their fathers. I mean, I cannot tell, and those are issues that are rooting back. Where every issue that as a daughter, we have created an environment where as a daughter, for a daughter to talk to the father about issues affecting her, she has to go through the mother. Get? What about when the mother is not there?
So how do we heal?
The way we heal is first of all therapy. The way we heal is taking in content that deals with feminine issues. Content like books that deal with such kind of issues, you know, books, podcasts, music, feminine things, so that we can know a lot of stories of the things that are happening out here. That when we do that, when we immerse ourselves, we know about different stories, okay? And also let us stop having the taboo. Even as a family, let us have conversations as a family. Can we watch such a show? Like, for example, I'm positive that my parents are watching and my family is watching. There are boys, there are girls there, my mom is there, my dad is there. Or if they are all there, these are conversations where, as a brother, can my brother know that I am going through menses and it's okay? You know? Can I send my younger brother a sanitary towel? And he doesn't have to hide it everywhere.
Hiyo part kwanza unikasirisha. Hiyo part unikasirisha.
Exactly. Can my brother
Why are we hiding pads? Tumeingia kwa supermarket, why are we hiding pads?
I know, vijana wakianza saizi, my younger bro who might be in high school, saizi ndio anaanza kukatia madem. Can we have conversations about it? Anaweza niambia venye atakatia dem. Najua mama akisikia atamchapa, ni ukweli, but wanaenda funky.
Walisema tusipowaambia hizi vitu wataambiwa na society. And the
Na
way the
wataambiwa
society tells them it's not the way we'd have told
For
it.
example, my younger sibling, you know, she might be in high school. Most of the people, for me, like my classmates, my female classmates started getting children as young as Form 1. Me, literally, these are conversations we didn't have, but in class 8, me, I knew that my fellow young girls were having sex, and they were having a protected thing. If I had information from the word go, we could have known how to address this thing instead of waiting for them to be in Form 1, for them to give birth in Form 1. You know, these are conversations. Mdogo wangu akisleep, how do we talk about it? How do we make them feel like they're making the right decision while still making them want to be safe? For example, you know they have grown up. Let us have conversations as, what do you want to do as you? Do you want to abstain? How are you handling? Kuna kijana fulani alikukatia, ulimwambia aje? Unaona? Let us have this conversation so that they don't, and that is why mtoto anaingia kampo. Akishaingia kampo, bas, huyo tushampoteza wewe. You know? Kwa sababu grow up in an environment, very enclosed environment, and then wametoka ni kama kushake soda alafu wache pop. Yeah. So those are conversations we need to be having.
Writing, or rather, writing and performing such emotional issues could take an emotional toll on you.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the emotions?
Like I said, first of all, therapy, and sometimes therapy is not even just, because many people cannot afford therapy. Therapy is not just going to a person and talking about it. Therapy is as simple as talking the way we are talking. It's as simple as having that phone call with your mom. I am coming from a point of not writing from pain, and the way I make sure that I don't write tomorrow about the pain of yesterday is going through that pain and making sure that I have dealt with it that minute. For me, I journal. So that is the way, other than talking and everything, I journal, okay? And even in my pieces, I don't want them to be biased. Because sometimes, for example, I was talking even with my poetry mentor, Slim Shaka, big up to him so much. And like, for example, the latest piece that I wrote, because you're talking about GBV, I will be very biased on women. And probably sometimes being biased on women might mean that I might, because, for example, you're talking about GBV, and these are women who have gone through GBV. It might happen that it was inflicted to them by men, but I try sometimes not to be very biased, but depending, if the theme is about women, I will definitely talk about women, okay? So I try to cut across all things, and I don't pour, I understand, and that is why I am also growing to differentiate my different art forms, and know that I exist as a person before existing as an artist, before existing as a woman. I am a human being first, with dreams and aspirations. And then I become a woman, or I exist in the woman body, literally. Sometimes I think I'm just a soul, a free soul existing in the woman body. That's what I turned to, and that is why nikiamua, nikipata gari hata nikiwa na heel 6 inches, I will still change that tire if probably I don't have anybody to do it around me. You know, naweza weka bulb, kwani niacha nianguke, lakini I can still do it. So I exist as different people, and when I do, I know that in my art, it's Vivi Cab's writing. This is a person, this is a figure where whatever you're saying, people are watching. And sometimes you think people are not watching, but trust me, people are watching. You think people are not listening, but people are listening. So I might be writing from a point of pain on myself yet, but then it might be a trigger for another person. But then when I have studied enough and I am very intentional about my writing, I will write as much as it might be a source. For example, I might describe a rape scene. That is very, very, it's trauma, it's tough. But then I will have given a whole story. And at the end of the day, I will give a victory story, and I will give a resolution. So a person listening to this piece, hata kama alikuwa triggered, at least amekuja na voice. And that is why I always make sure that even if there is a sad voice in my piece, you will find a happy sound somewhere. Even if you're talking about issues, you will, in my piece, I will throw a line that will make you smile.
So in the mood of giving us like a line that makes us smile before I am told time is out.
Okay.
To pay your
Well,
piece of
sasa
poetry.
hiyo nikianza place yenye tawe make smile kwa sababu no poetry is a flow. Hapa hata tu smile.
You can perform a piece an
That
entire
would be
piece. Yes, that's okay.
a long piece. That
How long is it?
5-8 minutes?
5 minutes, it's okay.
5 minutes, okay. Okay.
Ni prepare kulia ama ni prepare kucheka ama
Prepare kwenda
ni ama nikae tu.
Unajua sasa hizi ni ile
I'm
wakati
joking, I'm joking.
unakwanga kwa shamba alafu mtu anakuambia, "Oh, unakwanga actor. Hebu tu actie tuone." So I'm putting it together. How was this piece starting? Hata nimesahau.
Karibu naweza kusema.
VV Cubs. That's my camera, right?
Yes, that's your camera.
VV Cubs. Mwanamke hafai kuwa na umama. Mwanamke anafaa kuwa kama mama. Amke asubuhi na mapema kabla ya mumewe. Awatayarishe wanawake na kumlisha mumewe. Kisha abaki nyumbani akifanya kazi za nyumbani kumsubiri mumewe. Mwanamke bomba huyavumilia mabomu. Mwanamke bomba anavumilia mumewe kwa hali na mali, kwa furaha na hasira. Anytime Wakesho listened to such kind of controversial message, she felt repulsed. She wondered when a woman will be seen as a woman or as a being and not a tool or an object. A tool of just taking care of the husband and raising the next generation. She questioned God a lot. I mean, God, why did you create beings whose strength was measured by the perseverance that they had for creatures around them? She looked forward to when a woman will be seen as a soul existing in a body first, before being seen as just a tool. Wakesho remembers her childhood. She wished she saw women not being just nurturers, but what about they nurture a company instead? Or what about they even run a whole country because of the warmth that a woman has? Wazazi wake hawakupendana, or probably they ever did, because how was she in existence then? But when she remembers, her mind is clouded. She disagrees with almost everything around the society. I mean, mbona mseme ati mwanamke ni ubikra, yet for her, hers was forcefully snatched away from her at the age of 9 by a man who mercilessly ushered her into this dark world. How dark humor is that? Wakati mwingine Aisha ama Wakesho, dadake Aisha, anatamani sana ahisi yuwafaa afe yote yaishe. Jamani, mbona maisha yakifa urongo? You see, when her mother was in the next dorm, nursing a newborn on empty bruised breasts, she was the next victim. She hates every moment of that day, and she remembers that day. That moment still lingers on her mind like dirty, lazy flies on a decaying wound. She remembers the way her father crawled into her wet bed. She remembers the way he tore her favorite nightgown, a gown which she was gifted by her granny, who died from lifetime efforts of trying to be a good woman. She hates every moment. The way she remembers his dirty, dark, mischievous sneer. She remembers the way his smelly sweat ran down his ugly face. She remembers and hates the way he groaned as his groin slapped inside her small body. She questions every moment. She despises, and what she hates most is that her mother Her mother watched it all, yet she could do nothing about it. Her mother was raising a child who was born out of sleepless nights and nights of dignity being sucked out of you. And she questioned her. Why is it that you had to wait through all this? Why did you have to wait to live in a coffin? Why don't you just leave right now? Wakesho grew to hate men. In fact, it saddened her that she couldn't even connect with her young bro, who was once a sweet person. In fact, at the age of 16, she was very surprised when she found out that hugging a man can be this. You mean a kiss on the lips is so nice? Don't tell me cuddling can be so nice. Wakesho felt she needed warmth. And alikuwa anajiuliza. Yani this is what she had been missing the whole time. Hey, kumbavu zake, yeah. Ay, what to say? This is what she was missing. So Wakesho felt she needed warmth, na wakati baridi ya November ilizidi, Wakesho akaamua azidi awe jiko ya mtu. Unfortunately, this was just lust which didn't last long. When her husband realized that she couldn't give birth because of the ruthless pumping back then, he decided to turn her into her punching bag. Wakesho was at the verge of calling it a life painfully lived when she met with a woman who taught her that information is power and that knowledge comes from wisdom. And from then, she learned that sometimes great minds are not only created in schools and we can inform ourselves because we are surrounded by books. From then, Wakesho found solace in books and she poured her pain into her pen. From then, Wakesho decided that she would educate herself enough so that she could emancipate her mind. And that moment when Wakesho made it to enslave herself, she promised never to trust a man, so please don't mind her when you see her connecting more with women and mincing at the idea of flirting with a man. So before you hit her, before you have the kick to hit a woman, think, how would that kick or blow feel to you instead? Before you decide to lash your anger to a person, think, where does that anger root from, and unroot it before it's too late. So before you hit a woman, think, what if this was your mama? What if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? Don't even think about that. What if this was your destiny connector? Not even that. What if this was just a lady who found herself in this world? A world where it is better, or the society thinks it's better to be a he, not a she, whereas the she is expected to raise the king, or the he, because the he is just a tiny baby to be raised by the she. So before you hit a woman, think. Think before you act. Vivi Cubs. I told you it was wrong. I warned you.
Okay. It was, I don't want to, because if I start talking about it, we are going to eat up into the next conversation.
Comments.
So I feel like that was such a good wrap up. I wouldn't even ask you to give us a parting shot because everything you've said in Wakesho has summed up everything. Let us know where we can find you on our social media handles.
Thank you so much. So you can find my works across all social media platforms at Vivi Cubs. That is VIVY space KABZ. Please let me be your beadwork plug. I run a business, Cubs Beads, so let me do that. Also, if you want to see who I am as an actor, you can catch me. KBC, yeah. You can catch me every Saturday, 6 p.m. KBC TV, stringed. I act as Ruth. And also, we do stage performances at Kenya National Theatre. So just check us out. Follow me and follow Jesus.
Follow Jesus. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time, Vivi.
Thank you so much.
It has been such an amazing. Najiuliza kwa nini ukukuja alia tupige story. You know, anyway, but thank you.
There's always a next time. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. That was Vivi Cubs. Mimi sitaki hata kusema what she's just a wholesome, very, very wholesome person. But then we're taking a very short break. Today we have said we are just talking about 16 days of activism. We are from the first part of the conversation where we're just from talking about gender-based violence. Now we moved, or rather shift gears, to creating safe spaces for our fellow citizens. But we're taking a very short break. We will be back in a jiffy. Do not touch that dial.
Y254. Imagine.
Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
पीलूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
Oh, you're dealing with the boss. If we break up, yeah, you know that it's your loss.
This week on The Buzz,
Said you want me back, you can't touch this.
Liam Neeson is back with another action-packed film titled Absolution.
You're crazy. Can you just walk away?
Abinguma lets us know all about his new album on Creative Corner. We will highlight the life story of Cynthia Erivo.
A bullet in my gun.
Find out what led to the alleged fallout of Ogobina and Damo Facebook.
God is in people, but so is the devil.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune into Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
What's up, beautiful people? It's your host with the most, Muna Joy.
And your DJ Faro the Finisher catches every Friday from 6 p.m. mpaka saa 2 usiku on Tano Kali Show.
Right here on Kenya's #1 channel, Y254. We're going to be giving you hot trending topics that are happening on social media platforms. We will also be interviewing hella talented artists on the show as well.
Kama kawaida, I'll be here to give you the best mixes. Alafu sahau pia kuna top 5 hits of the week.
All right, see you then.
Identity.
You ever get the feeling that you're like 2 different people?
Love.
I think about you too.
Lust.
Happy birthday.
Friendship.
You guys are my family. Whoa, what is this?
Escapades that annihilate our innocence. For this is a story of the young and restless.
I love you, Nairobi.
The hungry.
But I want more.
And free-spirited. Sometimes sweet. Sometimes sour. Sugar.
Street anthem kings and queens, sound the alarm. Yeah man, buckle up for the biggest and the baddest show in the country. This is Inner Yard Reggae at Y254 channel.
Yes, sire. Mission in a back is the same. Oneness of Rastafari.
Jano, my name is Mandy Moses, the positive warrior, alongside the baddest in the land.
Selector DJ D-Rich, selecting the very best of reggae and dancehall music.
Na unajua ni aje pia tutakuwa tuna live interviews,
hype sessions.
Na hapo pia tunakuletea what has been trending in the Caribbean land. So sikose each and every Saturday 7:30 kwenye PM
until 10 PM.
Sure.
Rastafari.
Yo man.
You bless me, bless me, bless me. You bless me, bless me, bless me. Oh God, you bless me.
Ever wanted your voice to be heard, your opinion to matter? Where else if not here on Unfinished, where we focus on matters related to business, politics, entertainment, name it all. Join us every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Y254 Unfinished, because this is the only place where we get to finish matters.
Naomba nafasi mimi nicheze nawe ateja karibu sinicheki toka. Oh yeah, hatujuani but tonight you could be my babe. Soga nambe inform imekubali excuse me.
Promise me Sam not to do the things I've done.
Kama umepewa sahau shida kama umesota leo tupige makelele.
That is the energy that we are starting off. That whenever the energy is wrong, we beat it wrong out here at karaoke. The only show you get the opportunity to wear the courage of Omena. Look at the mic here through the eye and get to unleash the inner rock star.
Lion, Zion, yeah, I'm on the run.
Every Saturday at 10 p.m. and I repeat on 6 p.m. Here with me, Professor Kamau, kijana aliye na uzoefu mithili ya shilingi kwa ya pili on your number 1 youth channel station Y254. Imagine
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports,
drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained,
and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Y254. Imagine.
Identity.
You ever get the feeling that you're like two different people?
Love.
I think about you too.
Lust.
Happy birthday.
Friendship.
You guys are my family. Whoa, what is this?
Escapades that annihilate our innocence. For this is a story of the young and restless.
I love you, Nairobi.
The hungry.
But I want more.
And free-spirited. Sometimes sweet. Sometimes sour. Sugar.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome back to Y254 TV. Thank you for still keeping it here at Y in the morning. Hey, if you've caught Vivi Cubs, I mean, if you caught that conversation, it was just a wholesome conversation. She's just very passionate about GBV. But then again, we're shifting gears to creating safe spaces. But before we get to talk about safe spaces, it will be an injustice that nimewambia mniongeleshe, mnisalimie, mtume rambi. Okay, why am I thinking of Rambi? Anyway, Mtume salamu alafu ulikose kuzisoma. So let me take a few comments before we get to talk about creating safe spaces and before I get to introduce my lovely guests who are in studio with me. So let me the question we were asking today was how je tunaweza create aje safe spaces for raia wenzetu? How can we be able to create safe spaces for other people? Then Benjamin Mwangi anasema watching from Kerugoya. Good morning, tuned in from Nyeri. That is Julius Murega. Augustine is saying good morning from Shikumu. Good morning. Kamau anasema good morning, beautiful lady. Pamoja sana hapa Kagera Muria. Wacheni wambie hizi majina. Nimeachanga tu kuzisema siku hizi. Juu ni kama nazibucha left, right, center. Anyway, Kamau, good morning. Kidiga anasema hot. Good morning from Vihiga. Charles anasema Karatina well represented. Murithi anasema watching from Embu. Mko aje. Changari anasema Moshi anasema Changarateso getting you live. Thank you. Charles is also saying good morning. Then there's Kinjo who's saying live from Nakuru Bahati. Aleki anasema pamoja from Kisii. Kevo anasema tuned in from Thika Town. Master Philip is saying morning, tuned in from Nax. Thank you. Kennedy is saying good morning, dear. Good morning. JJ anasema Mombasani present. Tita Jekins anasema tuko pamoja. Daudi anasema pamoja sana. Lily Ashley anasema good morning, tuned in from Kegogi. Mwingine anasema Val yuko leo, sorry. Ni mimi ndo niko, yeah. God, then they someone say good morning, promoter, thank you. Katel anasema Ndakas, thank you. Good morning for DJ Ferro anasema good morning. Michael anasema good morning. Sultan anasema good morning from Eldoret. Anyole anasema locked. Then Alex is saying tuned. Irungu is saying in. Manuato Solo anasema watching live from Toloso. Lawrence anasema good morning. Then there's Vita anasema niko locked. Lydia Wango is saying present. Ruth Musimbi is saying my favorite. Jay Rich is saying tuned in, and so forth and so on. I'll be taking the rest of the comments before we close the show. There are so many. Thank you for the love, thank you for the warmth, and thank you for the good morning messages. Thank you. At least sijaongea peke yangu nasemangu aje imepotea. So in the meantime, what does safe space mean for you? Mimi nikisikia the word safe space nakumbuka some conversation we had with some friends back then in Campo where we created a big circle and then tukakaa hapo katikati mtu akisema safe space inamaanisha ile kitu yenye tumesema inaingia hapo na inaishia hapo. What does safe space mean to you and for you? That's the conversation we're having this morning with my amazing beautiful ladies with me in studio. I do not want, leo nimesema si jinx kitu yote, I am not that one. Karibuni.
Thank you so much.
I can talk. Where I can talk. Hey, I'm sorry. So today I decided I'm not saying names for my guests. Wajiseme ndio wajipea hiyo identity.
Okay.
Karibuni.
Thank you so much.
So where do we want to start?
I can start.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Marion Guy. I am the programs manager of a youth-led organization. It's called Power 254. What a coincidence. Why 254?
Power 254.
Yes, so we are a youth-led organization that works with young people across Kenya. And our mandate is to empower young people through civic education and just empowering them to be able to participate in matters governance, public participation, influence policies. And how we do our work is that we use art. So I was very impressed when the previous guest, just did a poem because we use a lot of storytelling, we use a lot of artistic expression to just be able to have conversations and dialogues with young people, with citizens across the country. And at the end goal of this, of course, is to push for influence, social change, good governance, speak about human rights violation and the upholding of human rights and the Constitution as well. So in a nutshell, that was what we do at Power 254. And we are really grateful to be part of this show this morning. Asante.
Karibu
Yeah.
sana.
Over to you, Fluzzy.
I don't know why you looked like saying something like that.
Okay, my name is Fluz Munyiri. I am a radio producer, radio presenter, and also a DJ at Power 254. So pretty much what she said about Power 254, siwezi ongeza anything. That's pretty much all, yeah.
What does safe space mean for you?
For me, I think generally, safe space means a place or a space where I can exist without fearing, without having to look left and right. Just have a safe space where I can coexist with anyone without being worried. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much the same. Just being in a place where I feel protected, a place where I feel that in case there's anything, then the law is protecting me, someone is watching over me. But I want to say that beyond just safety and where I am, I think safe space for me means the even understanding on how to create the safe space itself. Because if we don't have an understanding on how to create safe spaces, then how are we going to create them? And when we talk about safe spaces from the context of GBV, we are often, our mind is often stuck on, therapy, psychosocial support, but we're not talking about creating awareness on issues that lead us to us needing to create the safe spaces. For example, if young men and boys are not taught the importance of respecting women, if we are not taught the importance of changing behavior, culture, attitudes towards women, then how are we going to create safe spaces for women even in the society? So for me, it's just the understanding on even what is gender-based violence. Let's begin from there, because even there are people who don't know what GBV is. Therefore, even while in their mind they might think they are a safe space, but they are actually abusing a young girl, a woman. So it's important for us to understand what is GBV, different forms of GBV, and the impact of it, so that we are able to create that safe space for this for young girls and women and even boys, and children. Yes.
So what truly, I appreciate the sentiments you've given. How do we tell what's a true safe space? Because mimi naweza kuwa nafikiria hii ni safe space, or mimi naweza kuwa nafikiria the house I am living in is safe, but the people I am living with are not safe.
Yeah.
Because where does GBV come from? Where does violence, what do I call it? This word is escaping my mind. But sometimes we understand that these atrocities are done to us by people that are closest to us. So how do we distinguish what is truly safe? Because we realize that even our homes might not even be their safe space.
That's true. Yeah, I think for me, how to identify that, like I just mentioned earlier, we have to create awareness, because not just for boys, also for girls. Because what you're trying to say is that as a woman, for example, if you are living with your cousins, how then do you tell when your cousin is abusing you or not? So for me, it's the understanding of what causes GBV, what is GBV. So GBV, of course, is any form of infringement of your right, that is gender from an approach of gender perspective, either gender discrimination or whatnot, or even intersectionalities, depending on how you identify. But then what causes GBV mostly, particularly for women, I'd say there are issues like inequalities existing between men and women. We all know, even in terms of economic empowerment, men and women are not empowered the same. We have the issues of culture, behavior. We mostly live in a patriarchal society. So even naturally, when you grow up in your family, there are things your brother will do that you are not allowed to do. And those attitudes are what eventually come up and become abuses to women. There are issues of poverty, for example. You could be living with a man, because we had an event last week, because we are also rolling out a campaign. We just rolled out a campaign on GBV, and we had storytellers, and one of the stories they were sharing was that most of them have been in abuse because of poverty, economic empowerment issues. They're living with a man. Just because the man is paying rent, they think they have an authority to beat you. They think they have an authority to abuse you emotionally, financially, psychosocially, and so for me, the most important thing is for us to understand what are the causes of GBV, what are the characteristics of GBV, and maybe just to mention a few forms of GBV. There's physical violence and abuse. There's emotional abuse. There's financial abuse. There are cultural abuses like what is it called? FGM. Yeah, like FGM, for example. So when we understand what these are, then even as a woman, as a young boy, as a man, you are able to understand what GBV is. You're able to identify when you are being abused. Even for men, there are men who have been abused and young boys who have been abused by fellow men or even women. So if they are able to be taught what this looks like, then they can be able to identify what is a safe space for them and what is not. But let me also welcome Flozi to just say a bit on that as well. Yeah.
Yes, but I also think as for media, since I'm in that space, I think we have been slacking in terms of creating awareness when it comes to GBV, yeah? And considering the fact that we are leaving a boy child behind. Now that we have been talking about GBV for women mostly, we have been leaving the main problem behind, who is a man.
Tuna address tunaacha issue.
Tunaacha issue huko nyuma, tuna address the problem, but the problem is back there. So I think it's about time we have a conversation with men too, because they are the bigger part of the problem, yeah? As much as they're being abused, I think they're the bigger part of the problem, yeah? So having that conversation with men, that would actually mean having to solve this in whole, yeah? But also I think culturally, we have a problem when, especially when our mothers are telling us, you know, ukichapa, tulia tu. That is how marriage works, yeah? Imagine, yeah, vumilia tu. And I think that is why we have been having a lot of deaths, because tumekuwa tu penye unakimbilia ni kwa wazazi. Alafu anakuambia wewe vumilia, rudi tu, kuna watoto. I think that is an issue we should also start talking about. Yeah.
How important is it to create safe spaces?
It's very important, because if we don't, women are dying, children are dying, young boys are being abused. So like I said earlier, it's very, very important to be able to know that if we are not able to talk about these issues, if we don't create the safe spaces, we are going to lose lives. People are living in trauma. It's going to be a ripple effect even in the society. We are transferring pain to different generations. So that's why I say it's very important to create safe spaces. And by this, it even means, even at the legal level, so at existing policies, if we don't have policies that are protecting these young men, these young women, then it becomes a challenge. So it is very, very important to protect, to have safe spaces. Otherwise, then people are going to die. Like we're having rising cases of femicide. 97 women dying in a span of 3 months is not something very interesting. You not being able to go for your work anymore because you don't know, you might end up in a banana plantation. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm laughing. It's just the way it has come out.
Yeah, it's not a very interesting thing. So yeah, it's very, very important for us to create those safe spaces. And also, when you talk about creating the safe spaces, it's beyond just prevention. How do we intervene for people who are victims, for example? If somebody has been raped, if somebody has been sexually abused, if somebody has been emotionally abused, then how are we able to help them go past that? Are we creating spaces where they are able to speak about the issues? Are we having gender responsive desks, for example, at health facilities? Are we having gender sensitive officers at police stations, so that when you go there, mtu akuulizi, ebu na ulirepiwa ukifanya nini? I mean, that's so insensitive. Are we having training officers so they're not able to create more stigma to victims? Yeah. So it's very, very important to create safe spaces, and it's beyond the victims. It's also the people who handle the victims as well. Yeah.
So safe spaces, to just get what you're saying clearly, safe spaces, creating safe spaces goes beyond the victim creating a space for themselves, but also the person handling the victim to help them create that safe space.
Exactly.
Well, in your opinion, let me bring DJ Flows. In your opinion, why do you think people struggle with creating safe spaces?
I think the system.
I like the way she's smiling.
I think the systems, man. I think the systems. Like now, think of it. Do we even have a toll number for you if you're abused? Do we even have someone to call? First of all, 999, 911, the Kenyan one, doesn't work. Yeah. So do we have, even if I'm abused or if I'm having a domestic violence in my home, who am I supposed to call? If I call the police, then again the same question. Ulichapa ukifanya nini? What were you doing? What were you wearing? I know, yes.
That question, yeah. What were you wearing?
Yeah. And what did you do?
Yeah. What did you do first? Yeah.
Do I have to do something?
Why were you walking alone? Why were you going that side? The question is why. That's the questions they're asking us.
Yeah.
They're not giving us solutions. Because can you listen, what was I wearing and have been abused? Now, where am I coming from? Yeah, I think the systems are not really working for us.
Also, why is it selective for women? Why don't we ask a man, why were you wearing a tight shirt? Why is it just about women? So it also goes back to perception. But also just to add on to that, stigma. Stigma, it is very difficult. Imagine bringing a sex worker on live TV to tell their story of how they have been abused. In this generation, the internet generation, when you go to the comments, you will see people trolling her. Unezaje kwa malaya kwa hii generation. But you see, we must respect people's choices as well. Yeah, a woman, even the woman who was the recent GBV case for Nakuru, if you look at the comments on social media, they are so nasty. Men are like, she deserved it, she's the one, all those kind of stories. But must someone die for us to prove a point? Yeah, I feel like there's so much stigma around GBV. There's so much fear, even for women. Even in terms of reporting, forget about the city. Let's talk about the village. How many women in the village would go and report, for example, their uncle has sexually abused them? It's close to impossible because culturally they'll say, utaharibia familia jina. So there's so many issues around GBV that causes stigma. I mean, some of them of mostly culture, you know, the patriarchy that comes with it, the shame that comes with it. Even for men, for example, I hate to bring up this. You remember the blogger who was abused sexually in Mombasa? How many people would empathize with that man? Even some people on social media will go ahead and empathize, but some will go ahead and troll him. So there's so much shame and stigma around GBV that hinders the creation of safe spaces. Yeah.
What are some of the key elements or practices rather we can use in creating safe spaces, be it in the office, be it in schools? Of course, I know in the offices nowadays, like the other day, particularly here, they created sexual harassment something policy, yes, thank you. So how do we, what are some of the key elements or practices we can use in creating safe spaces?
Of course, I think for me, I'd say in places of work, we already have the Employment Act, for example. That requires that at least people are protected from abuse and all those things. But even in our communities, awareness, because without awareness, there is no safety. You are only safe because I acknowledge and understand that I must create a safe space for you. Number one. Number two, safe houses, particularly for people who are living in environments where I want a choice. Aki, hana pesa, like we hear women, hana pesa, kuna watoto watatu. The only way she can survive is by living with that man who's battering her. So how do we help such people? Even if it's a man as well and a young boy. So we create safe spaces for them through providing things like safe houses so that they are able to be protected. But also remember, safe houses are costly. So that means we also have to push for funding, enough funding for to address GBV issues. We have organizations that work with women rights organizations, for example, like, I don't know if you know Usikime. Usikime does amazing work in protecting women. And therefore, people like those need to be funded well so that they can continue with the good work that they are doing. But also we must address the emerging trends in GBV, which in this case is it called online abuse? The online abuse, whereby we're having cyberbullying
And trolling.
And you hear even some of the influencers say, oh, I'm taking a break from social media. It has been too much. I've been abused because of my body, because of my what? Because of an issue I experienced, So even how also do we deal with these emerging forms of GBV as well? That would be my sentiment.
I also think media plays a bigger part of this because we are everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially the mainstream media, but also the online medias. Yeah. Because now a lot of young people are in the online spaces, but when it comes to mainstream media, itafikia hadi watu wa ushago, yeah. So that means when we sensitize or we talk about it in the media stations, that means inafikia watu wengi. So I think for media, we play a bigger role in putting these words out here. Yeah.
And changing narratives as well.
Narratives.
For example, even the most recent case of the Nakuru guy, what is media reporting?
Yeah.
Yeah? You know, sometimes media is very interesting.
I think the problem now is clear kwa sababu kila mtu amekuwa media kivyake.
Yeah.
I know.
Notice
you have journalists
something
out there.
happens, alafu kidogo hata kabla uione kwa TV, mtu ashatoa kwa TikTok yake.
Analyzing.
Uko like, hiki kimefanyika saa ngapi?
Yeah. So media plays a key role in shaping narratives, and in as much as we have the new media that people are using, what role does Y254 play, for example, in changing even those narratives? Because there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation on social media. So how does mainstream media then change these narratives so that we are also not pushing harmful narratives that are advocating for the, you know, encouraging this kind of behaviors? Yeah. But I also wanted to say psychosocial support is very important. Even in our hospitals, the government is supposed to have those areas, the GBV areas where they're supposed to support victims. So are they funded well? Do they have the right people? Are they getting the right help? Are the nurses or people there or psychotherapists there understanding how they need to handle victims? Are they, you know, for example, some victims want their issues to be very confidential. Is that respected? So even just psychosocial support is very, very important. But even by extension, family members, if your family member has gone through that, then how do you support them? If they don't have money to go for therapy, pay for therapy. If not, then don't be part of the people who continue to inflict pain through you know, having negative narratives around such issues. But most importantly, we cannot ignore the place of the law in this matter, because above all, we have policies and legal frameworks that need to protect citizens against this issue, to protect young men and women. So where are we in terms of implementation? What is the role of the ODPP, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, in ensuring that these perpetrators are actually prosecuted, charged, and put to jail, for example? What is the role of police? There are a lot of systemic issues. Corruption. Sometimes unapata mtu anakuwa abused when they go to the police. Even the current case. What was the man saying? That there's nothing he'll be done for example. So the religion is also another. So there's so many systemic issues that we need to deal with, so that we're also able to assist the victims to be able to get justice.
There's some more organizations like Power 254. We are planning to have a session of where we have therapists to come and talk to the people, the victims. So we handle maybe the payments of the therapists, then they just come and have that session. So more organizations can just come in with such kind of, and so we have a lot of help for these victims.
And maybe just to add to that, is that there are other forms of GBV that we don't talk about, and this is like the people we work with, they're called human rights defenders. Human rights defenders are people who advocate for rights of citizens. And there are also women rights defenders who just are human rights defenders, but they're female. And you realize that also human rights defenders face a lot of challenges, abuse. When you go for protests, wanashikwa, women in the society, some of them are attacked, they're not safe. So even for us at Power 254, as Flozi mentioned, we just launched a 3-month campaign. It's called Scars Behind the Mask, because Scars Behind the Mask is a campaign that seeks to advocate for respect of human rights, of course in reflection of the previous Maandamano and you know, just human rights violations, death and whatnot of young people, but also protection of women's rights, especially during this time where we have a rise in cases of femicide. So we have a couple of activities. whereby last week we just launched the campaign. We are having psychosocial support for these victims, for human rights defenders as well, and we just seek to support them, and also, most importantly, strengthen support systems for both GBV survivors, people who work with GBV survivors or who help address those issues, and human rights defenders as well. Yes.
So, I know, of course, we can't alienate, or rather, we can't remove empathy, listening, being there, what both of you have just mentioned, as one of the ways we can be there for people. But what roles do these activities do in ensuring that we create safe spaces? How does active listening contribute to creating safe spaces? How does me being empathetic with your situation contribute to creating safe spaces?
Yeah. I would say, let's just start with the most simple word. It facilitates the process of healing. Because if you talk, if you are heard, then it affirms you that people care. It affirms you that you can be protected. It affirms you that you can get justice. If we provide psychosocial support for you, it affirms you, but beyond the abuse. You might not completely forget, but you might cope. You might be able to find a way to cope and survive. If we, like I said, part of the safe spaces is ensuring that we also have the right resources to support the victims. If we have the right resources in hospitals, in police stations, we have safe desks for these victims. It affirms you that there is help. Yeah, you can get justice. The law is there for you. Yeah, I think that's what I'd just say in a nutshell, and allow Flozi maybe to just throw in her thoughts around that as well.
Yeah. I think just having someone to talk to gives you like a leeway to actually, like she said, healing. Yeah, you're not completely forgetting about the situation you were at, but at least it gives you some kind of morale to continue living. Yeah, because at some point these GBV survivors, sometimes you feel like the life is ending. Yeah, so having someone to actually listen to you, using empathy and using these therapies, then you're able to cope and to continue with life, and also to help advocate and talk about GBV.
We appreciate the fact that we are trying to create safe spaces, but of course in the trying to create safe spaces, challenges arise. What are some of these challenges that people face when they're trying to create these spaces?
I think the legal is
System,
a challenge.
yeah.
The legal system is a challenge, because when you report, what happens then? So I think that is one of the biggest challenges we're having.
Yeah, I think I just like to emphasize what she said. The criminal and justice system in Kenya is quite a long process. So what happens is that you'll find, even if you report your case, which most people have, it really takes a long time to be able to address the case. So utapata, the case is dragging. The forms, the number of times you have to go to court, the number of times you have to keep telling that ill story to the public, to the, to the court for you to get justice is very demoralizing, and sometimes makes victims actually just give up, because remember, you're also continuously creating harm for them. So you're trying to heal, but you keep on telling the story. So it's very painful, number one. Number two, there's the issue of corruption that I talked about. There's some people in this country who feel like they're untouchable. So you'll find that they will create harm, they will abuse, and at the end of the day go bribe the justice system, and therefore the victims will never get justice. Number three, there's just a bad culture around some of these issues. For example, if you go to the marginalized community, let me talk about, say, the Maasai, or even in Turkana, communities where FGM is practiced, you'll be told that's part of the culture. You're now being a grown woman. If it's your uncle who's abused you, you'll be told you cannot speak this against your uncle. You've seen so many people come out and say, I was abused by my uncle, but my mom said I cannot talk about it, and whatnot. So for me, I'd say there's just poor or lack of a better responsive way of handling GBV cases, so that we're able to get justice. But I also want to acknowledge that the country in Kenya, we've been trying to really push for these issues so that we're able to get justice for victims and have perpetrators charged. And I know even at the office of the ODPP, they have, I think, a framework that was launched 2 years ago that is supposed to help them respond to these issues very fast, that they are able to get justice for the victims. Yeah, but I also say there's a lot of ignorance, because even when we were having our meeting last week, our event, one of the things someone from the ODPP mentioned was that there are so many young people in custody, and it's because they do not know it is against the law to have sexual relations with a minor. So you are 21, your girlfriend is 16 years old. Yeah, you don't know it's a criminal offense. So you end up being in jail as a young person. So I think some of the challenges also is just like young men and women are not educated enough. As a young girl, you don't know you're a child, obviously. As a young man, you don't understand.
High school.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll get yourself in hot soup. So I think for me, those are some of the challenges that that we have in the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we bring this conversation to a close, I didn't even believe time has passed that.
Yeah.
Has gone that fast. But as we bring this conversation to a close, how do we ensure that we maintain the safe spaces we create?
I think we continue with the advocacy. We continue talking about the issue. The more we talk about it, the more we create more safe spaces, and organizations like Power 254 having this kind of sessions, then we continue having such kind of,
Yeah, we also change narratives. We change societal narratives. We change culture as well. Because we have to change the negative cultures that bring harm or lead to abuse, so that we are able to have safe spaces. Yeah. The truth is also we have to invest in this space. It is very expensive. Therapy is expensive. Creating safe houses is expensive. Creating awareness is expensive. So even women rights organizations, youth-led organizations like Power 254, excuse me, as we are doing this work, we must invest resources, financial resources, and knowledge, research. We must be able to invest enough resources for us to be able to tackle this issue exhaustively. We must understand that it's not just a female or a male issue. It is a societal issue, and therefore we must be able to change narratives, change behaviors by creating awareness for us to be able to reduce the rising cases of femicide. We must be able to invest in our young women. Because one of the root causes of this is also lack of economic empowerment and poverty that forces young girls and women to find themselves in these situations. So how are we investing in young women? For example, we are seeing like the creative industry, which is also prone to GBV because of how it is because of its existence. People are now investing providing financial access to female enterprises in the creative industry. So also how do we have incentives, even for example, that are able to help women participate in businesses for us to have, to empower them economically, so they're able not to find themselves in situations because of maybe poverty or they don't have rent. But most importantly, no one deserves to live in fear. No one deserves to feel like I am being abused because I don't pay rent. The abuser must also know that women rights are human rights, and a human right is a human right. Irrespective of whether I have money or not, you should respect my right and protect us as
Finally,
well.
as a parting shot, what message would you give to someone who wants to create a safe space for themselves? So I'd say you give us one, she gives us one.
I think for me, the knowledge is power. The most important thing is for them to have knowledge of, first of all, what is a safe space.
Use this camera.
Okay. First of all, what is a safe space? Yeah. As I said, knowledge is power. What is safe space for you? Whether you're a victim, whether you want to prevent or support victims, or even just have preventive measures, so that people are not going through the same cycle of abuse. So have knowledge of what GBV is. Where you can get help. There are very many organizations that are providing platforms for help. We have FIDA, who even give legal aid for free. We have IPOA, who have a toll number. We have the Office of the ODPP, who also have protective measures to just help victims speak out and get justice. So empower yourself so that you are able to assist victims and also actively contribute in prevention measures of gender-based violence. Thank you.
Flos, give us your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. First of all, we'll be having an event on Friday. There is a reggae event that we'll be having a panel to discuss about GBV in the creative industry. So the whole idea of having producers and artists and come together and talk about GBV and how to create safe spaces for people in the creative industry. That's the conversation we're gonna be having. But also, this is a call out to the media to just talk about it, sensitize people, and also for events planners, let's have policies in all the spaces.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for talking to us about this thing.
Thank you for having us.
Karibuni. That is it. That was it. That was all we had for you today. Please keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Ensure that you create a safe space, not just for you, but for everyone around you. That's all we had for you from us today. Do have a lovely day. My name is Grace Maingi. God bless you.
Y254